ministering to, taking care of, healing the smaller parts of us that quake. So for me, I'm kind of a consciousness nerd, um, and I studied psychology and life coaching as well as the spiritual. And so I think that we sometimes need to clear away the fog of our lower voices so that our higher voices can shine. Now, with that said, I will say it's really not about fixing the mind, right? Which is so prevalent now. It's really about transcending the mind. So we don't want to overlong look at our shadows such that we don't allow our higher selves to speak, but we have to address the whole person. And we come back then to this very grounded topic of marketing, so it's like sometimes it's not about psychology. Sometimes it's just called post the thing, do the live, do the event, just do it. And jumping, right, is really what we needed to do to quiet those voices.
And speaking of voices, because it's so important to be heard, whether in our physical voice, but maybe it could even be an angelic voice. I know you have a book coming out this next year, Your Angelic Ancestry. It's back there behind you. Can you share with us a little bit about the angel voices and what we might expect with that?
Yes, thank you for asking. So angel means messenger of God. And so your angelic ancestry, discover your archangelic name, Alicia, discover your archangelic name, heritage, and higher purpose, is really about not having to connect to archangels outside of us, but going within, discovering our own angelic heritage. It's like ancestry.com for the angelic. Yes, you do have a gossamer shining presence still in the angelic realm. And again, it's not about going back to try to squeeze into your pastel robes. It's about bringing all that present so that we can live in that divine remembrance that angels live in and be a clearer channel to allow those surprisingly pragmatic but celestial voices, those shortcuts to God, to speak through us and to us.
That is beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And one of the other things that I wanted to highlight here is, Alicia, you are part of the Pillars of Power movie that we are producing with the Los Angeles Tribune, The Hidden Secret Behind Achieving Greatness. What would you say that little hidden secret might be if it was for you?
For me, it is all about absolutely surrendering and allowing that higher voice to speak through. It's about each person truly embracing the secret that they are God, that we are all love, that we are the truth of the mystical, that we are shimmering, leaving stardust in our wake, embracing that and realizing that sometimes it's a challenge to step into that numinous self. But there, when we do that, is where the peace and the expansion is.
I just want to let that sit. I mean, it's so beautiful. It goes back to that word of permission. But Alicia, you said that voice within, it's so surprisingly pragmatic, but celestial. It's almost like, that voice within, that gut feeling, that nudge to act or to do something. It's guiding us in the right direction. It's pragmatic, but it's also coming from beyond what maybe our logical minds can understand, but a place that's encouraging us to move forward. Yes, Debbie Predator said mic drop moments. There's so much there. Alicia, how can people, kind of going back to connect to how people in their everyday can create space to really hear that voice? First off, and then what are ways that they can do to take action? Is it just to take the action in that moment? Is to write down what they maybe heard to try and understand it and then to move? What kind of guidance can you give to people today that are trying to maybe make a shift in their business and they got a voice, but they're not sure what to do with it quite yet, but they know it's pushing them in a certain direction?
Well, I would say two things. One is probably my favorite tool, and I call it the divine pause. So it's really, or angel moments, if we're using angels, could be soul moments, God moments. And it's to take, you could set a timer, you could set alarms, but to take little moments throughout the day. And I'm talking 30 seconds. Let's do one now. So if you would just close your eyes, open your heart, unless you're driving, in which case open your heart and keep your eyes open and just really drop in and be aware of connecting heart to heart with everyone on this call, and really being aware that you are never alone. And on your hands are the hands of archangels and spirit and the universe enveloping you in its wings of love. This, my beloveds, is who you are. So that was perhaps 10 seconds. So it's really taking, maybe doing it 5 times a day and really connecting in with spirit so that you exercise that muscle of connecting several times a day, even while you're in your, especially if it's like, oh my God, do I do the webinar? Do I launch the thing? Do I, and it's like, just stop. And your alarm goes off. It's time for my God moment. When you don't have time to do it is when you need to do it most. Right. And so it's really putting it throughout your day, not just in the morning where that's important too, but in the morning where you're meditating, but putting it throughout your day in your business while you're on a call. And the second thing I would say, as far as business is to take that divine pause before you decide to do something, especially if it's something big, and just drop in and go, in the silence, in that divine unknowing, and receive the answer. And if you don't hear the answer, then you do it again until you receive the answer, because to the extent that you're in alignment is the extent that the universe conspires to bring magic and, I believe, success. That's been my experience, success into your life.
Wow. Yes. And those divine pauses have been happening ever since we've had you on with us. And to receive that answer, and when you don't have the time to do it, that is when you need it the most. Truth. That's all I'm going to say. Truth here. I am going to invite one of our next hosts as we transition here to a panel, but I've been watching her backstage and I know she has a question for you. So I'm just going to bring Tiffany up here to connect and say hello.
Oh, hello. I am so happy you're in the movie with us.
Me too. So happy to see you. Tiffany and I know each other, but we didn't know we were connected in this way too.
Divine.
And bringing in the angels to our planet, to the movie, to this, symposium. Oh, I just love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. So happy to see you.
Likewise.
Tiffany, it's so great to see you. Alicia, it's so great to have you on today. Jane Slacksmith said, loving this conversation being brought to marketing with heart and purpose. And I think, Alicia, what you also brought to the conversations today was marketing, but business approach, but going within, not seeking the answers outside, but really tuning in with what you're meant to tune in with as you make decisions. And people are always faced with decisions, how to show up, what do I want to say? But you're also reminding people that as you think about what your next step is, listen, because your spirit, your soul, your heart may already know what to do next. It's been so great having you on, Alicia. I know our audience is going to have many more opportunities to connect with you as you will be in the upcoming film, The Pillars of Power, that we will speak about a little bit more depth in just a moment. But Alicia, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a delight to be with you all, and happy holidays.
Yes,
thank you, Alicia. Happy holidays too. Wow. So Tiffany, it's so amazing for you to join us. We're about to have a really dynamic conversation with some individuals that are going to be part of the new up-and-coming film, The Pillars of Power: Unlocking the Hidden Secrets to Success, that is directed by Donna Campbell and our CEO, Mo Rock. Tiffany, you are one of the producers. I'm one of the producers. Tiffany, would love to hand it over for you to introduce some of our guests that are going to be joining us here today.
Absolutely. So let's bring them on. Yay, this is Greg and Antonia. Oh, hi, Natalie. Hi, Cynthia. And already the consciousness of our planet just started up leveling. Oh, great. So let's start with Greg and Antonia because I've known you the longest. We dive into that subconscious mind stuff, and they are about core talk, like talking to your body to create health and to get your mind, body, spirit aligned for success. Yep. Hi, up in Northern California.
Hey, bomb cyclone away here.
Nice. Okay, and I'll introduce Amanda. Hey, Amanda. She's in Orange County with me, just 20 minutes that way. So, fellow sister healer. And if you look behind her head, she brings in lots of lots of matrix energy and frequencies of vibration for healing.
The matrix of oneness.
That's right. That's right. Cynthia's out in Sedona, gorgeous Sedona. And she's also very spiritual healer, and she does stuff with the hands, like being able to read people's hands. So I look forward to hearing some of your hand stories. My beautiful Susan from Florida. Hi. Yes. We do the done differently consciousness talks, bringing in any kind of shifts that are going to elevate one another. So I'm really excited.
We're
Natalie,
definitely seeing different possibilities for sure.
yeah, Natalie, I haven't had the pleasure yet, but I'm so excited.
Me too. Natalie, we're excited to have you on. I think what's so beautiful about all of you joining in today is how you all serve the world, to take a word out of Alicia's segment from previous, serve the world through healing, but through heart-centered connection, which in today's dialogue all day has really been, I don't want to call it a theme, but a resonant thread that has kind of rippled through all of the conversations that people have been having, because it really is about going back to seeing people as people and not numbers, and being able to connect, and then also enabling people to heal certain experiences that they've been through so they can actually step into and walk into themselves fully. Antonia and Greg, would love to hear from you more about the work that you do with Care Talk Holistic Healing and how you connect with the community that you have nurtured and the clients that you serve.
Yeah, what we love about Core Talk is that it really is about your body and not so much about what's going on in your head, because the body is really, it knows everything about us. It knows what's happening when we're having the experience that we are. Sometimes our mind can kind of play games with us. It'll lead us into seeing things in a way that might not be that heart-centered feeling that we really want to be relating to the world with. So we love to talk to bodies out loud and ask them, what do I do to really get the feeling and the depth of the experience that I want, so that I'm not kind of just going by what my mind is telling me to do all the time.
Yeah. We love to help people realize that when you think from the shoulders up, the brain wants to keep you safe, but the body wants to fulfill your dreams. And that's why we talk to the body.
I love that. And as you talk about how we connect with the body, how are ways that people could then take that connection one step further to actually connect with the individuals that they're serving, the individuals that are connecting with their products and services, but in a different way that feels more heart to heart, in the words of Alicia earlier?
Yeah, it's so important to come from our hearts. So we really teach people how to even more connect and communicate from our own hearts. And when we do that, that automatically sets up that energy exchange of communicating to the other person's heart. And by modeling that kind of energetic, positive experience, people are automatically drawn to you, and they automatically see that love and fullness, and divine expression that exists within you, and they're able to see it in themselves better so that they can go out and fulfill their mission. Having that connection makes it easier to have the connection with others.
That's beautiful. Susan, tell us a little bit more about your magic, sister. Unmute, please.
Susan's on mute, so we're gonna make sure she can unmute. There we go, Susan.
I got it. Thank you. Yeah, so I have the distinct pleasure of working with the angelic realm, and we go into someone's subconscious and we pull out the unconsciousness that's in there, and their whole life instantly, dramatically, radically, and permanently changes. And when we're pulling out the programs that no longer serve them, we end up dumping their cup out so they have more space to invite in that which they'd like to have in their life, and things show up like magic.
Love that you do that, Susan, because sometimes people can fear connecting with the world, showing up in the world, and they may not actually know why that is. And so maybe some of that is kind of stuck in their subconscious, or there's an energy flow that is blocked that's not enabling them to show up in the world. So what are ways that when people connect with you or understand even like how their energy flows and how their subconscious can maybe stop the activity, the growth that they're looking for in their business, that they're like, I'm doing all the things, I'm going to all the seminars, I'm writing down all the strategies, but it's not working. Maybe sometimes it's a reflection of within. Would love for you to talk about that a little bit more, Susan.
Yeah, I would love to. So there are things that we've brought in with us from past lives that we decided then that we'd always remember and never forget. It was so traumatic for us. It could be the way we died, how we were treated, our lifetime, whatever it happens to be. And we said we'd always remember and never forget. Well, those two words are forever words. So when you come in the next go around, you install it. And of course, you come down through the birth canal and you have amnesia. That's just how the soul recycling program works here on the third dimension. And while you're here, you have these things that are showing up you have no idea about. You have no remembrance of any of it. But because you've always got to remember it and can never forget it, you have to reinstall it to make sure you don't forget and you always remember. And it's things like that I'm able to see that's running. And you show me your whole life like a computer screen, and you've got 1 trillion tabs open at the top, Alicia. And then you're on the front screen trying to create your life, and you're just watching this Microsoft ball rainbow spin around in a circle, and you've got to shut your computer down and restart it, or do a scrub and get rid of the duplicates of stuff and make more room. That's what we do. So back in the day, I'm from Gen X, we used to run the defragmentation program at nighttime, and then you'd wake up in the morning and like all your files will be put back together and you have more space. That's what I do for you in your energy field and for your life. Like, it's a total game changer.
Absolutely. I love the defragging. It feels so good.
Yeah, it sounds like Control-Alt-Delete on your computer because there's no processing space. So we have to delete some things or close some windows so that we can have clarity and we can focus and we can really continue to walk forward with what it is that we're trying to do. And I think it's such an important part of the conversation during the Marketers Forum, because you can write down all the strategies, have the notes, but really understanding what's going on in the inside, that may be slowing what you're trying to do, or creating maybe relationship building. You have a block within, and so you actually can't connect with your community or your audience and the way that you're trying to. That's so insightful. Susan, we're going to come back to you in just a moment. Amanda, co-create your success. What does success mean for you as you connect with your audience, as you market with them, serve them, and how have you gone about building connections and rapport with the people in your community?
That's a great question. So first of all, co-create your success is really about you co-creating within yourself as well as co-creating with the universe. So however you think of that, people have talked about the angels, spirit guides, the divine, all of that. So for me, success is really about co-creating that connection at that soul level. What did you come into this lifetime for? And when you're resonant with that, when you're energetically aligned to it, then what you're able to do is easily put yourself out there, easily market yourself, and you're able to be visible. However, as a couple of already talked about, when there's this out of alignment energetically that's maybe held at the cellular memory because of past life bleed throughs, because of conditioning and programming, maybe even family imprints, lineage encodings, any of that can get in the way of you energetically being able to put yourself out there and to even deliver a message that makes sense to somebody. So for me, the success is about being able to really synchronize with your soul's energy and your soul's purpose and plan. And as you're energetically aligned to that, clearing out those energetic blocks, those bleed throughs, those patterns, then you're able to fully embrace the potential that you came here to express and to deliver and be of service to others.
Beautiful.
So good.
Natalie, I'm really excited that you're here and in the movie. And I want to hear more about you and your special sauce. And also, since this is a marketers forum, I want to bring in like that spiritual, secret sauce into the mix. So tell us a little bit more about you and how you bring that into your marketing.
So I'm Natalie, and I'm also known as the Bon Vivant Girl, someone who enjoys everything in life. And my mission is more hands-on with my clients. I help them wake up with a smile every day. If I have to put it in a sentence, I'm helping individuals to reclaim their happiness from all those external factors and to get the power to live fully. So my magic is the smile, I guess.
Aww,
I help them to shift their mindset and be the best of themselves, bridging that gap from their current life to the life that they dream.
That's so wonderful, Natalie. You talked about it's the smile. How can individuals, it's going to be an interesting one here, but I'm going to run with it. How can individuals help their work, how they show up in their life, their branding, their messaging, some of their marketing messages, smile in a way that truly connects with people the way that a true smile does, not just like a smirk or a fake smile, but that true smile, Natalie?
I think it's by finding the positive in everything. And by putting those positive messages, there's no way that they cannot smile. So really in marketing, I think we should really enhance on the more positive messages than on bashing, like on negative ones. And that will help them to smile and to bring the smiles around.
That's a great reflective point there. Sometimes people will market themselves by pulling down maybe their competitor to say, I'm not like this.
Exactly.
Right. But you're saying like pour more positive energy and just go with connecting and talking about how you serve your audience, not taking someone else down in the process to elevate yourself or make yourself look better. That's such a, I think, understated and nuanced, but such an important perspective to have. Donna, I see that
Well,
you.
and with heart-centered marketing, it is about elevating not only the people that we're trying to impact, but globally, you know? So we
And I
want to
mean,
bring that up.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody agrees it's all about the energy. If we put out that positive energy, it's contagious. I see some thumbs up. It's like really, it's all about that.
Yes, it is. Donna's joined us. I think that she's on mute right now. So we're going to wait for Donna to get off of mute. You
There we
are all in the film, The Pillars of Power, unlocking the secrets of success. And the pillars are all about bringing your mental health, your spirituality, money conversations, how you connect and build relationships, and your health into the world. Donna, I would love for you to share more with our audience that's tuning in right now about the pillars of power and why conversations like the ones that we're having right now in this panel around energy work, around healing, are so critical to how people show up in the world personally, but also with their businesses.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of my favorite quotes, my favorite lines in everything with the Pillars of Power is to really inspire a new generation of leaders and change makers who really recognize that the secret to extraordinary success lies in the holistic integration of mind, body, and spirit, grounded in both ancient wisdom and modern science. And so for me, this is really about how do we align who we are on the inside to what the world perceives who we are on the outside. And I think authenticity has a huge piece in that, because I've seen people, you are either the same person you're on stage as you are off a stage. And then I know there's people, there's a energy or a persona of who we believe them to be on stage, but they're not that same person in their personal relationships. And so I think authenticity is a huge key to that. So I'm going to ask Dr. Alicia and then Cynthia the same question. What is one thing we can do to stay in integrity and authenticity with who we are privately behind the scenes and who we are out in the public for our marketing and our branding?
One thing we can do is to truly have the courage to tell the whole truth about who we are, to share our message courageously and as fed to us by spirit, because it always is, without apology and without dilution. So the pure love and essence of who we are, no matter how out there, no matter how afraid we are of how it will be received, that we are more allegiant to the voice within than to the smaller voices without, that tell us the world's not ready, that tell us we're not ready. Because the truth is, it's not about feeling ready, it's about being called.
I love that. Being called, all those little mic drops. Cynthia, I am going to ask you the same question as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, authenticity is a huge part of my work because your authentic self is actually located right in your very own hands. So your hands are the reflection of your soul, your personality, your free will. And the more that you can understand that, the more that you can really be that. So I definitely would recommend someone being curious about who they are and ask yourself, who are you in every day, in every moment, and what wants to co-create through you. And that should be your guidance tool every breathing moment of your life.
Yes, absolutely there. Absolutely. Tiffany. It looked like you had something to share there.
Well, being able to, I was just thinking about what she said about breathing it into every area of life. We need our breath. We need to be in our heart center as we're breathing. And that to me is part of what helps me with authenticity. My mission, my entire being and purpose here is just love and serve. That's it. Love and serve. And however that is to be expressed in each moment is just a gift. And every time I get to serve, it's like, all right, God, I give it to you. Thank you for this opportunity. I love it. And I love you. Right. And that's just part of what it means to be authentic for me.
We love that response, Tiffany, because it asks people to think about, I don't want to say question, but to think about, like, how are they showing up in the world? How am I connecting? What am I saying? What am I doing? Amanda, would love to learn from you as you've expanded Co-Create Your Success. What are kind of the ways that you integrate strategy with authenticity within yourself, with going with your kind of gut or intuitive instincts to actually connect with your audience?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, like what are ways that you integrate strategy with also going within and kind of intuition to actually connect with your audience to help them know what Co-Create Your Success is all about and attract those that you really want to work with to your space, and then maybe those that you're not serving, it doesn't align because you're doing all those things that are in alignment with who you are?
Right. Thank you. So I utilize the Diamond Co-Creative System, which is based on sacred geometry. So it bridges the science and spirituality together. And what I do is I go within, activate the system, activate what we call the Diamond Energy Codes to help me connect at that soul level and at that authenticity, because that soul level is that authenticity, right? And really ask if this certain strategy will benefit and serve those that whatever we put out. And looking at a particular strategy or program, is that resonant from a heart-centered, powerful way that can really make a difference in someone's life? And so I always start with that going within and activating the system, the codes. And from there, I let, it's called Co-Create Your Success. I let the spirit guide me, my soul, my guides, the divine guide me, because you can put all kinds of things out into the world. But, rather than spitball it, be very strategic. That's in soul alignment for ourselves first. And if it's that, then it's going to serve those that resonate with the message, resonate with the work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for Greg and Antonia. Like, what role does intuition play in the way you bring forth your business, your marketing, your essence into the world?
Intuition is so important because it's kind of the beginning point all the time of, what am I aligned with that I've been thinking about? And what are my desires? What's my vision? And then we use that intuitive spark to bring up, what do I ask next? What questions do I need to know? What are the actions that I need to take to create the success that my intuition is leading me towards? Because we want to engage this whole intuitive spirit so that we can have what Donna was talking about with the authenticity, with your unique gifts, with your skills, with what you love to do, so that success and the intuition that you're having become melded together. And what we know from working with entrepreneurs at length is that when we can talk to their bodies about what's just right for them, when they have that intuitive spark, and if that's the direction that their body is going to support in their whole spirit, their mind, body, and spirit, then we're going to have flow. Then we're going to have alignment, and exciting things happen at that point.
And if I could just add, is that intuition is our beautiful starting point and sometimes the middle point. But that's why we talk to the body specifically, because the body has even more of that mysterious download that sometimes our intuition misses or our mind misses. And so we always double check with the body, make sure the body gives us a yes or no about what direction is right, what partner is right, what strategy is right, so that we are going in that authentic direction. And we're just not using totally our intuition, which sometimes can get the brain a little bit involved. And sometimes we get incredible answers from our body that we never would have intuited in a lifetime.
Those are some really, really good key points there, Greg and Antonia, because without going inside to really get and have those answers, we don't necessarily have all of the information just from the, we'll call them data points from the outside world to really what those next steps are. But I want to take this a little bit deeper here with the word authenticity. And Susan, I'm going to call on you here, because there is a piece of authenticity that we have with our branding, because our world is oversaturated. Authenticity tends to be one of those buzzwords that we use. So how can a business truly embody and convey authenticity in their messaging to build trust with their audience?
So cool. I love this question, Donna. Thank you. So it's so interesting because we get confused a lot of times with like who and what we are. So we're actually the being, we're not the body, right? So the body is the one that wears the clothes. The body's the one that eats the food. And the body's the one that really, really, really likes for you to make a lot of money, because it's the one that likes to be pampered. So authenticity happens to be including your body into the decision-making of your branding and your purpose and your goal and where you're taking your business. So our body is more aware than we are because we have points of view about things and our bodies don't. So in working with clients, we empower them. And I know a lot of us do this, empower our clients to be able to choose and ask, and intuitively, yes, but also the infinite possibilities that are available to us, because you only know this much. Like they say, I don't know, we use like just a little bit percentage of our brain. And, we only know what we know, but God has access to everything. And it's infinite possibilities that we have available to us. So it's not always about figuring it out, because that's what you were taught to do when you were kids. Figure it out, find the answer, make a good choice. It's about asking your body, because your body knows more and it has less points of view about it. So was that helpful, Donna, for you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely there. Natalie, one of the topics and the themes that we have been talking about is really building connections versus marketing. So how do you go about with connecting to the soul, and how can a marketer tap into that emotional resonance inside?
I think we have to first start to talk about what bothers other people, because like the marketers, if they just give a solution and it doesn't talk to people about their problems, it's not going to work. So tap into what is painful. And for me, what I see with my clients, it's always the self-love, self-confidence. So helping them to get there, it's already a big, big step. And then giving them the solutions, obviously.
Yes, absolutely there. What would you think would be one of those solutions that might be common with bringing out that authenticity in this world, with marketing, with branding, and building that connection?
Being true to yourself And I always use this, I mean, figuratively and literally, the mirror exercise. Like, look in the mirror and see how beautiful you are inside and out. So that will really start empowering you and finding that self-love and self-confidence. And I really believe that that's the key for everything.
Beautiful, beautiful there.
So, Alicia, I know you've joined us back in for this conversation. Would love for you to help us deep dive a little bit into a topic, a buzzword, a really kind of way of being that some people kind of struggle and navigate with as they're trying to take up space, connect with clients, get something out there in the world that their spirit told them, nudge them, you know, you should write that book, you should go on that podcast, you should be on that show. And then that deservability factor kind of comes up, and they're like, I want to do this, and I want it, but I'm not sure what to do. Alicia, can you talk a little bit about deservability and how people can navigate how they feel about their own deservability as they figure out how to show up in the world?
Absolutely, Alicia. And that is the first time I've gotten to say that with somebody with my exact spelling and everything.
Me too. Nice.
That's great. Deservability, yes. We all have that. And we don't want to, we have to figure out a better phrase, but we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. That humility, that beginner's mind, that open slate is gorgeous, because we always want that, okay, Lord, I got nothing, you got to fill this, right? We always want that openness. And ego, if it can't be the greatest of the great, will be the lowest of the low, because it has to be special. So we want to be very careful and discern. If I'm doing this, oh, I'm not ready, what do I have to add, etc. We want to realize we're probably an ego, right? Because the soul does not ask, you know, who am I to do this? The soul says, I'm not doing this. God, the universe, spirit is doing this. So let me create the space so that spirit can come through and fill the space with love and ordinariness, right? There's my spiritual teacher used to say, ordinariness is the prior condition to God, right? Because that's where we're all one. And that's the sameness. And that's that juicy, we're all in this together. We're not the individual waves in the ocean. We're all waves surrendering to the ocean of love and allowing ourselves to be in the flow. So it's really not, you know, we might want to change our question from who am I to do this to why do I think I'm doing it, right? You know, so it's really about, for me, if I'm asking that question, then it's about just being gentle with that part and surrendering it and allowing the spirit to come through.
Wow. I love that. Shifting the question away from who am I to do this, right? To what do I get to do with this? I know I changed it up a little bit, but it was so powerful. I really sat in it for a moment, Alicia. As we go into closing remarks, and we're going to start with you, Alicia, would love for you to share something that you haven't touched upon yet, but you really want people to kind of understand or walk away from today thinking about as they think about how they're showing up in their business today, and maybe subtle shifts that they can make to their approach to really help them connect with their audience. So we'll start with you, Alicia, and then we'll go to Antonia and Greg and then Susan.
Well, what I want to say to people is you are more beautiful than you know, and we need you. And I'm going to demonstrate what we all keep encouraging you to do, which is, you know, take that leap. So I'm just going to let spirit answer that question, which is kind of scary for me, but it's what we're talking about, taking the risk. So what I hear is, beloveds, we are all in this together. You are not separate. If you think you are separate, you are in a place of pain. If you would be in a place of the most deeply divinely ordained comfort and joy, be aware that that spirit am moving through you every instant with every breath. Your breath is always there to remind you because God is breathing you when you forget. So just this moment, taking a deep breath, and as you breathe in all the love of the universe. Know truly. And as you exhale, just melt into this precious present. For you were born the beloved, and we are so in need of you at this pivotal time. Come forward. Amen.
Come forward. So beautiful. Antonia and Greg, your closing remarks for today.
Yeah, what's so important, especially when you're making decisions about how you're going to interact with your clients, is to be in the moment, is to be present with what you are feeling deep inside. And what other people tell you to do might not always be the best thing for you. So to always have that ability to tap into your innate healing system, your real spirit of what's right for you, because that's what's going to guide you to be able to make decisions that are going to really connect outside of yourself to other people in a way where they're going to really feel that authenticity and your uniqueness that you're going to bring to the conversation.
Because in the moment is where the connection is. In the moment is that authentic connection, the authentic love, the authentic expression and exchange of energy. So being in the moment, feeling everything, getting that information from your clients and giving that just right time experience and knowledge is what will really help every day and every moment. It's something to keep really top of mind, to be right here, right now with your clients and with yourself.
Wow, that's truly beautiful. And Susan, we're going to go over to you for closing remarks.
Thank you so much. I firmly believe that when you look at the emotional chart, the highest vibrational frequency emotionally we can be is gratefulness. And that's just below God's consciousness. And when you're in a state of gratefulness for who you are and what you're bringing forth, as well as your client, your customer, and the people that you're working with and those that are working for you, you are actually being in service. And you're there to support. And when you come forth with those frequencies, with that feeling, with that heartfelt gratefulness for them and for where they are, you're able to touch, tap in, and turn on a different possibility of people falling in love with you.
I love that. And next we're going to go to Tiffany and then Amanda and then Cynthia to go into their closing remarks, as well as Natalie. And then Dr. Alicia will help us introduce our next guest. So Tiffany, over to you.
This applies to marketing, but also life in general. So I touch my heart, I breathe into my heart. And so let's just touch our hearts, breathe in. Smiling at your heart, feeling your heart smile back at you. And then just ask, what would love say? What would love do? And then from that space of what would love say, write your marketing materials. There's so much beauty in that. People will feel your essence and want to work with you and line up. They're like, hey, there's something about this person. I feel their essence. I feel the divinity within them, even if I don't know how to put words to it. And they'll want to buy. It's that simple. You got to work with people that you truly, genuinely connect with and resonate with. And that to me comes from love.
I love that. Pun intended, Tiffany. Amanda, over to you. And then we're going to go to Cynthia and Natalie before we introduce our next guest.
Well, what came in from the guides was just a reminder to everyone, you're unique and really tap into your uniqueness. You know, there might be 100 people doing the same type of thing. Like there's tons of coaches, energy healers, marketers, all of that, but you're unique. So tap into um, your soul's essence and wisdom, align with that, trust that, and allow yourself to really be guided. Follow the energy that is being given to you, that is being channeled in, that is being downloaded. So many of you have great ideas, inspirations, and you came here for a reason. And our mantra right now is be the light, shine your light, and be out there and make the difference that you came here to do, whatever it is, whatever genre, whatever you're guided to do it. Just do it, as they say.
Just do it, like Nike says.
Yes,
Cynthia, over to
exactly.
you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when I first got started doing this work, I made the mistake of thinking that I was supposed to help everybody on the whole planet, which is unrealistic. So yes, you, just like everybody was saying, you are unique. You are a beautiful being of light. And you also are meant to work with specific people, and it's not necessarily the entire world. So ask yourself, who do you really like to work with? Who do you really want to work with? And then ask yourself, what is the step just behind where I am right now? And that can lead you to your marketing message. So that's my message for you.
Amazing. And Natalie, your closing remarks before we shift. Thank you.
Well,
so much.
everybody said everything I thought, but be yourself. That's what happens when you're in a room with so many amazing people, Be yourself. Trust yourself, because your ideas are great. It's true. There are like so many people out there doing maybe the same thing than you, but you are unique. And so if you start to believe on yourself, have that self-confidence, you will shine through your marketing. So don't think twice. Just go for it and enjoy the process, because that's the important part. If it's going to make you miserable, don't do it.
Wow. So beautiful. I love this conscious conversation that we're having around marketing, but the flow and the alignment and working with the right people in the right ways and really tuning in within to then connect with the world on the outside. Natalie, it's Susan, Cynthia, Antonia, Greg, Tiffany, Amanda. It's been such a pleasure to have you on. We're going to transition. I'm going to ask Alicia to introduce our next guest. There are so many more insights that you all that have been tuning in will be able to get to hear from our panelists that have joined us today that are part of the Pillars of Power film. There's so many more, but we really want to make this conversation about consciousness, marketing, spirituality a part of everyday conversation. And it certainly has a lot to do with connections, how we market and how we connect with our community. So Alicia, I'd love for you to introduce our next special guest that has joined us today all the way from France.
France. Yes, I am so excited.
We are, this is such a treat for everyone. We have Sonia Choquette. Sonia has written 32 best-selling books, translated into 30 languages. She's the top teacher of intuition. She is a true legend, and I can tell you from having the privilege of knowing her personally, she is deeply heartfelt. She is a complete love to everyone she meets, and she's truly a living treasure. You will feel the presence of intuition and your own magic as she speaks. Sonia, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be with such a gorgeous community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for being here with us today. We know you are in a completely different time zone than the rest of us here. And you've been backstage patiently waiting. You've been listening to the discussions that have been happening. Share with us a little bit of your insight, and I'm just going to call it intuitive marketing.
Well, I think the important thing is to understand that at the core of marketing and really the core of the world going around is relationships. And if you're going to have a successful relationship, you have to first tune into what's relating, who's relating to who. And this is an interesting, just a bit of an anecdote. The planet Venus, because I'm listening to all this spirituality, is the planet that rules beauty and love and connection and romance, but it also rules business and money. They are connected. In other words, they are the energies of what creates a harmonious and resonant relationship. So marketing is a word that we use that actually is trying to communicate how can we create the most dynamic, mutually beneficial, uplifting relationship. And that is very difficult to almost impossible to succeed at the highest level if we're relating on the wrong channel. If my self-conscious, needy ego is so focused on what I want from you, then I'm not going to be seeing you other than as a means to my end. And that's how the ego perceives things. It tends to look at the whole world as me against you, and either you feed me or you scare me. But if you shift the relationship and you recognize that the breath in me, the energy in me, the essence that gives me consciousness is my spirit. And my spirit is not here to get. My spirit is here to serve and to connect and to co-create. That's what lights up the spirit. So if I am relating and connecting with someone spirit to spirit, not role to role, but soul to soul, then we establish immediately a resonant and mutually symbiotic capacity to communicate and understand one another. So this is why I was listening to all your beautiful teachers about coming into the body and into the heart is where we actually experience that energy of higher self. It originates in the heart center and then it expands outward. So marketing is bringing your most creative spirit to a situation and be very interested in seeing the authentic self in another, seeing that person in a third dimension reality and asking, well, who are you? How can I serve you? And can I? And if it's not me, what can I offer you that might be able to serve you? So you're not looking to get, you're looking to connect, co-create, and manifest something meaningful for both of you. And so the way to do that is to change the channel of the I you're talking about and start with the I that I am my spirit, and my spirit and your spirit energetically found each other. And let's trust that. Let's be interested and trust that, so we don't have to be afraid, and we don't have to be scared, and we don't have to pump ourselves up. Let's just trust that there's a part of us that can show up and be met at a place of genuine availability. Now, this is something that I help people with. If you show up in your heart energy, interested in another, we are energetically symbiotic. Another person will actually biologically feel that, and they can't help but respond. They cannot help but meet you there. And that's the beginning, to meet me at that place of soul to soul, spirit to spirit. And it immediately drops the self-consciousness of the ego that would interfere with all that marketing. And then let's get down to business, the business of what we're trying to experience in the earth plane, whether it's we're trying to experience a restaurant or a new outfit or build a building. All of those experiences are creations. So what can we create, and how can I help you create the experience you want? And then it's fun. And then it becomes intriguing. And then you begin to you use outer senses and inner senses. Pay attention, listen, watch. These outer senses are not a problem. They are the way to read the physical energy and then activate the inner senses. the inner sense of listening, clairaudience, the inner sense of feeling, clairsentience, the inner sense of knowing, claircognizant. What that is you're reading the energy. You're reading the physical frequencies and you're reading the energetic frequencies. And we are naturally designed to do this. And if you're not defended, self-conscious, and imploded in your ego, this will come pretty naturally to you. These are our natural abilities, and we're doing it all the time. We say it when we say, I can read the situation, or I read her mind. What we're talking about is I'm getting you. Even that phrase, I get you, is an intuitive phrase. It's like I am receiving the totality of you. And I want to support that. People who feel like you get me, they want to be your client. People who feel like they're seen accurately and you're genuinely interested will lean into you. And then the engagement is not about the tug and pull of I'm selling, you're buying, it becomes what are we going to create together? And it gets really fun really fast.
Wow.
Wow.
Right?
So much wisdom, so many gems shared, Sonia. I mean, I wrote it down. You said it's not about to get, it's about connecting and co-creating and manifesting mutually beneficial experiences for leaders that may be trying to understand what it means to connect more consciously with their community, with their customers, and are struggling to balance maybe profitability with staying aligned to their core values and to that core connection, having that trust and faith. What would you like to share with them as ways how they can kind of nurture and explore this pathway?
Well, I've mentored leaders all over the world for many years in many different industries, big leaders, creative leaders, artistic, medical leaders. And what I know is that we need to remember that people are going to remember you and trust you based on the energy you put out. If you put out an energy that might have all the flowery words, but inside, because you're fearful, you're going to be pushing and you're going to be like a football coach and they might hear you, but they won't remember what you're saying because people do not remember what comes from the ego at you like this. Energetically, that's repulsive. So I call that eggs on Teflon. I mean, you hit it, you'll remember the impact, but you won't remember the message. Real leaders inspire others to pull up their best. And that word means to bring the spirit in. That's what inspire means. You breathe in, you breathe in and you communicate to others. I trust you, but I'm not trusting your ego. I am trusting the spirit in you, the best you, to want to serve with me our mission. And when you speak to that part of people, but not just speak it, you vibrate it, you energetically live it. People trust you. So if you're going to be a good leader, and I have been very good leaders, and I have worked with some really bad leaders. And what I'm saying is something that Maya Angelou once said, people tell you who they are by what they do. Believe them. And I want to add that people tell you who you are by how you vibrationally communicate, by your energy. And believe me, you're obvious. No matter how you can smoke in mirrors and put on good suits and cool shoes and happy smiles, if your vibration is not coming from the heart and congruent, people feel it. Now, they may not have the language, they might not have the consciousness, but they have the experience. And that's going to make them lean back and not give you their best because they have to protect themselves from your dissonance. If you're congruent and what you say and what you feel and what you mean and what you do align, and that your energy is inclusive to their well-being as a leader. Like, I am not going to just have you all serve my goals, but we are going to create what serves our goals. Those are the leaders, and they are energetically, they are so powerful without being intense. They can be at ease. They can be calm, but they are effective. And right now, the planet is waking up. People's inner senses are coming online like popcorn. We are feeling it. We are, all of a sudden, I'm having an intuition. I'm having a dream. I'm having a sense. And so we have to, as leaders, recognize to speak to the highest consciousness of people, not to the consciousness of us, but to the consciousness of the ones we are serving. That's what makes you a leader, is that the difference between a leader and a manager is a manager is taking care of and trying to make sure everything's okay. But a leader is inspiring and is taking care of everybody. And there's no difference. And so when you have leadership energy, there is no them. There's just us.
I love and resonate with everything that you're sharing here, Sonia. But I do have this one question because it pops up in my mind so many different times. And it's a question that I get asked often. And it's about handling rejection. We share our heart, we share our energy, we're authentic, we show up in our trueness, our oneness, but yet sometimes we still experience rejection.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I think half of America, at least, is feeling that right now. I mean, we were just showing up and being so great, and all of a sudden we got rejected. Being a public intuitive guide for 45 years, I'm used to rejection. I have been rejected, repelled, called names, but you have to ask yourself, well, what part of me is reacting to this rejection? I got rejected yesterday. I asked my sister to do something for me, and she flat out said, absolutely not. And I was so offended. How could you do this to me? And I really had to sit with it, because I'm conscious enough to know if I'm having a big reaction, I'm trained, I'm conditioned, and I've lived long enough to know this is a moment where I can grow. I can either be in third dimension, victim consciousness. I'm so brilliant, and spiritual people can fall into this trap. How can you reject me? I'm just so full of love and beauty that, you are really missing it. That you are really blowing it. But rejection is just understanding another person's consciousness doesn't get you. They're not resonating. You're not hitting a note of commonality. You're not understanding where they are. And so it's a vibrational disconnect. And if you can take it as, okay, there's one of two ways to go. It was mentioned by your panel. We're not a vibrational match. And I don't need that us be a vibrational match. I'm going to move on. Or, I do need us to be a match. So what in me is missing something that I'm not understanding or communicating well about you? I'm not reading you well. One of the biggest reasons people might reject you is because you're not understanding what they need. You're missing it. Number two, maybe they don't want, I do one of the experiences I have with rejection is a lot of people are insecure. So the power they have found is the power of no. I'm going to just say no. I'm going to withhold. I'm not going to be in the playground. I'm not going to be in the sandbox. So read that. Is this really a rejection of me, or are you exerting the power that you have learned at this point? The power of no. Because I think my experience is that probably at least 50% of rejection is the power of no. That's as much power as people have learned to have. In which case you have to accept. But I also, even in my own experience yesterday, I sat for a good 4 or 5 hours in funk. big funk. I got rejected from my own sister. You know, I just was like, this is so wrong. But I knew that this was because it was a moment. I call rejection teachable moments. I wasn't particularly signed up for the class that I was being taught, but I thought, well, here it is on my lap. And I realized that, you know, what's really happening here, it has nothing to do with her rejection. It has to do with, it's very similar to some original rejections in my life when I wasn't as conscious and did take things more personally. And so I need to clear that out. Now, why I love your question is because we are in a period in this planet right now with a lot of clearing. So that is going to be experienced, as we've just collectively observed in many people's lives, as a massive rejection. So that is an excellent question, is to develop the resilience and the insight to recognize to read rejection accurately, to really not just feel the experience and say, that's my intuition, I'm being rejected, because to feel an energy doesn't necessarily automatically mean you're interpreting it correctly. Dig a little deeper, give it a little breath, give it a little pause. And if you're all worked up, you're in your ego, have some compassion, take a bubble bath, pat yourself on the back, say, that stunk. Breathe through it. When you calm down and all that adrenaline passes, revisit. Use your inner senses. Was it my voice? Was I communicating wrong? Did I ask him at the wrong time? Did I miss? Review. Be grounded and be interested in why that happened and what you can learn. That really is core. And then you'll get an answer. And then you'll get over it. And that feels really good.
You see why I love this woman, why the world loves this woman. So, Sonia, I'm going to, as much as we would all love to ask you incredibly spiritual questions, going back to the theme of this seminar, which we need as spiritual teachers and leaders. Let's talk about sales. How do you, see, I even hesitate saying that word.
I don't. I'll tell you how to see sales.
Yeah.
You know who taught me sales? Wayne Dyer. He was one of my dear friends. And when I first started publishing my books, I went on tour with him. And he was so good at sales. And I had a hard time saying, here's a book I wrote and read my book. And he said, Sonia, if you were in a city in a blackout and everybody was barefoot walking through broken glass, and you were the shoemaker, do you think it would be loving to keep the light out and hope they find you? Or would it be more loving to turn your light on and say, look, here's something for you. I see you're struggling. I have a solution. Here it is. And that's service. So if you can interpret, sales, when it's about, I want something from you, will always feel funky. But when sales is, look, I got a solution for you. I am aware that you're struggling. Here, consider this. It might be perfect, and you don't have to walk around in the dark in broken glass suffering. And I think that for me just turned on a light. It's like, of course, isn't that what, if you're hungry for bread and the baker's down the block and nobody told you he's around the corner, well, that's not nice. But to have the bakers put the door open and the bread smell, oh my God, hooray. It's a solution. So let's reframe. Sales feels funky when it's coming from I want. And sales feels fun and fulfilling to that purpose of wanting to serve when it comes from, let me help you. Now that I have your attention, let me help you. And I'll give you a choice, but at least see what I can do. And then it's not hard at all.
That was brilliant.
I love that. Moving.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you, Sonia just launched a book today. What's the title?
Well, it's actually the book. I just have it only because I just did the launch an hour ago, which is why I showed up late because I got my time up. But it's called Read Life Accurately. Recognize and respond to what's really happening. And it's taking intuition out of parentheses, and it's integrating intuition and making it friends with your outer senses. We have a whole constellation of senses, and we need to stop the fight. We need to stop the battle, and we need to stop the segregation. Some people are all inner senses, and I feel and I sense and you do, but we can't ground that. Someone on the outside says, well, how is that going to help me get rid of my backache? Or how's that going to help me find the product I'm looking for? So inner senses are important, but so are your outer senses. Listen, pay attention, watch, observe, work together in this new understanding that we have both inner and outer senses, and they need to be partners. So, and then the second part of the book, and my work, it's really the culmination of my work, is don't just feel and think your interpretation is accurate. Don't feel like, oh, I have a bad vibe, you're a bad guy. It's like, well, okay. Is it me? Is it you? Is it the moment? Let's discern a little more. Let's go a little deeper. Let's not be quite so quick to assume we know what's happening. Let's just pause and be curious and peel this apart. Let me give you a story, example. I had a doctor client come, and he said, I'm very intuitive, I'm very aware, I'm very sensitive. I'm the kind of doctor this world needs, but I can't tell my clients that. And he said, more than that, I can't tell my business manager that because she would think I've lost my mind. Okay, so this is a doctor who's got these skills. She wants to grow our business, but she's very serious. I don't know what to do. Do I fire her? She's been with me for 20 years and I want her to grow the business and be more spiritual. Well, I'm talking to him and my next client comes to the door 3 minutes early. Guess who's at the door? It's his business manager. He is positively gobsmacked. And I think it's hilarious and perfect. It's a perfect vibrational magnet. And I said, you're not reading her accurately. You're projecting all your stuff on her. And you're assuming she's not aware because maybe her language is not quite the same as yours. But let's pause and see if we're going in the same direction. And then let's just see how we can creatively go deeper with that. And so I think that reading life accurately is combining all your senses, being discerning, present, aware, and deeply interested in what is really happening, what is really true. And from a place of the spirit we share versus my ego, which is kind of sensitive and hard to please. So it's just, and so you have, one of the ways to get to that state of mind is just humor. If you come in with some joy in your heart, and like one of your people in the panel said, just smile, you open the curtains of your heart. You let that fear cloak drop. There is nothing to protect. Let's just create together. And if you smile and if you're interested in, here we are, you and I got this and you got this problem, you have bare feet and I have a shoe. Okay. How are we gonna work this out that we both are happy? Because I worked really hard for this shoe and your feet really hurt. So what's the common connection that we can solve? Because then we'll both go home really feeling we helped one another. So if you just have a little faith in humanity, that part that wants to connect, that is in every human being, will show up.
That's so beautiful, Sonia. I feel like we all just got a master class on what the word integration and the embodiment of integration really means. Your inner senses, your outer senses, understanding discernment, and understanding that intuition as guidance, not as fact, right? But it's really the connection of all
Part
of
of
those
it.
experiences. It is such a delight that you are part of Pillars of Power, that you've brought this conscious conversation to the Marketers Forum. There's so much that you said that I think is going to take some time for people to really process. I know I won't speak for others, but I know for myself, I took a lot of notes, but it's going to take some time to process. But that word integration of inner self,
Yes.
of outer self, of how we show up, of when we're ruffled up, is it them? Is it us? Like, we can take that
Yes.
mirror within. And, as people think about their businesses and how they're engaging with their audience, with their community, there are so many key principles that we can lean on here. So, Sonia, there's so many more questions that we want to ask you. I'll have to have you back on for another dynamic conversation. And we are going to move to bring up and invite our next guest to join us. Thank you so much, Sonia. Wow.
That was powerful, Alicia. And I am just still vibrating from everything. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to this today and actually jot down all of my notes.
Yeah, thank you again, Sonia. I know you're still here with us. Thank you again. What an integration. That connection between our inner world and our exterior worlds, and how we move around in that space, and taking us back to heart. Our next guest, it is a delight to introduce, really takes a heart-centered marketing approach to how he engages with the world. He has worked with presidents, people in the UN, executives of Fortune 100s, and he has gone down his own, I want to say, path of discovery, of understanding. Jagadish, it is such a pleasure to have you joining us today during the Marketers Forum. I mean, there's so much I want to share about who you are, but I'd love for you to share with our audience more about the work that you do and what heart-centered marketing is all about, and some of the experiences that you've had with world leaders, with executives, as you've shared your approach with them, and that effect has rippled into the world. Welcome, Jagadish.
Hi, thank you, Alicia. Hi, everyone. It's really good to be here, and I'm thanking everyone from the LA Tribune, to invite me here. And what I'd like to talk about a little bit before I go into my work and the work that I've done with, presidents of nations and the Fortune 100 people and stuff like that, is that there's different levels of understanding that we can have and apply. So this goes for marketing as well as, actually marketing is relationships also and everything. And this relates to the humanistic level of interaction and being and thought and concepts and ideas and the reality of human to human relationships and interactions. And so in marketing and in life is we have to relate to each other as human beings because we're conditioned by that so much. Many people only exist on the humanistic level, which is great. It's fantastic because that's above the animal level of existence, the lower ego fight of survival and power and things like that, wanting attention and things like that. Then we can go to the transpersonal level, which is the level that many of the people here on this show is really coming from, that transpersonal level of, oh, wait a minute, we're a soul also. We have a soul. And so if our humanistic level is our true self, because some people who talk about the humanistic level call that the true self, do this, find out what your true self is through this typology or that typology. We're talking about the humanistic traits and conditioning and things like that. And then we go to the transpersonal level, which is the soul level. Then that opens us up to communication with our senses, our subtle senses, let's call it, our subtle senses. So in business, many of the successful business people somehow have attuned their subtle senses, their gut feelings, or the communication from the subtle realms that are helping them be successful in this life. And they'll go ahead and work with that level. And that's, beautiful and wonderful. And then there's so that would be a truer self. Our truer self is our soul and all the gifts that our soul has and can develop, be trained in and develop, and the gifts that we call forth, so to speak. Then we have the transcendent. So the transcendent is our transcendent self. It's our truest self. So our truest self is actually who we are eternally. So if our human self is gone in this lifetime, right? Whether it's influenced by past lives or influenced by our ancestral impingements and psychic impingements and different things that go on. When this life is gone, that's no longer, we're no longer involved in that temporary reality anymore. However, we still, even though we don't have a physical body, we have our soul, and that's gone on into the astral realms or the heavenly realms. Our soul has gone there. So that's really, really beautiful. We're free of the bodily pain, but we're still ourselves, and we're congruence of all our other existences that we've had to the degree that we can be aware of them. The transcendent self, our truest self, is our pure spirit. So our pure spirit is made of the same substance that God is, the divine. That's the same substance. So for people who realize their truest self and are I said realize. Anyway, so so when we realize that on a permanent level, that we are pure spirit, we're the same spiritual substance as God is, and we do not die, et cetera, all the different things. Then the light of God shines through us. So my advice really would be is to go deep into meditation, go deep into mindfulness meditation and other types of meditation that will bring you cutting through the ego, cutting through the different layers of temporary reality, which is, anyway, a temporary reality, and find your truest self. You'll experience it from time to time. In the work I do, that's the main focus of my work, is for me to do the sacred transmission so that the individuals, people, right, animals as well, but anyway, can experience their own divine nature. And you do that enough times over and over again, so you have the deep experience, which is, of course, very transformative. And until you come from your side with your spiritual practices and dedication, you come from what I have to offer, and other people who are at a similar place can offer, until you realize on a permanent level that divine light that is within and without, everywhere, permanently like that. Then if you're drawn to entrepreneurship, or you have already been involved in it as you do your transcendental practices, your practices to go beyond the mind, to go beyond discursive emotions and rise above all of that until you realize that divine light. And I say divine love. Okay, I say divine love bliss. It's written there. Okay, so divine love bliss is that spiritual substance, who we are. It's beyond a doubt who we are. oh, there's doggies. And we can realize that, but it takes, like anything, it takes focus. It takes the company of people who have realized that true nature permanently. And it takes one's dedication and all of those things. And so when we can understand that and be balanced in the understanding of being humanistic, transpersonal, and transcendent, then we can be powered by the divine, get assistance from the transpersonal levels of existence, and meet people on a human level. And maybe that's the trifecta of where we can be. But one good idea here is that to not mistake a humanistic true self which is temporary, to our truest nature as eternal and beyond misery and suffering, like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jagadish, for your share of helping people understand our many forms of experiences and of evolution. And today, the conversation during the Marketers Forum has evolved as we've gone through the day, but a theme, a thread that has really resonated across the conversations is authenticity and connection and understanding our inner world to connect with our outer world and that flow and that alignment. And what you've shared with us today is really how we actually go layers and levels deep of our understanding of ourselves, of our healing and cleansing of ourselves, so that we can bring that person out to the world that then gets to create the business, that then gets to figure out what the marketing plan looks like to connect it with communities, that then gets to figure out how we interact or react to or just engage and experience those around us. You have worked with presidents of nations, with executives, with their works of how they show up as leaders, how they put their products and services out there in the world. What are some of those insights that you have shared, that you've delved into with your clients, that those that are tuning in today can kind of become curious about, that can explore and learn more about, or can say, you know, this is why I understand why, you know, a healing or a session with Jagadish through your transmission really impacts and elevates and up levels the work that I do and how I show up in this world.
Okay, yeah. In the work I do, the first level that people reach really is unconditional love, to experience that so fully that it overflows for a number of days after the events that I do. But in working with these different groups of people, including mega celebrities, A-list celebrities that I've worked with, but I've also worked with spiritual masters, genuine spiritual masters, and non-genuine as well. But the genuine spiritual masters of various traditions that I've worked with over the decades, there's a drastic difference. When I go in their field and do the work that I do, you know that they've attained the profound peace and all of these things. And so I'm just really working on the particular challenge they're working through, but their psyche, their soul is so cleansed. It's a whole different way of working. Everyone else that I've ever worked with, the soul has so much conflictive content and erroneous content and unsettled content. And so then that's one big difference. And this difference tells us the value of cleansing the soul, of cleansing, from the ancestral lines, which is part of the major work I do, to our own karmic content, to pulling out the different negative content in the blood, bones, and auric field, of course, and the chakras and the other systems that we have temporarily in this life. So with the work, I've been able to, working with the presidents of nations that were in war with each other and conflicts with each other, gradually worked out to be to settle in peace with each other, and now they are not at war with each other, et cetera, et cetera. As you know, I can't name who I have worked with, but and in the Fortune 100 companies, it was interesting that they attended the actual spiritual transmission work itself, and after that they were like, "Oh my God, can you give me a consultation on our nutritional line, that we're going to be putting out, or no, that they've already put out, but with not much success over the years." That was it. Sorry about that. And so these different things is that by cleansing, the deep cleansing of all of this until our conscious reality can see our own light shining through the divine light, from the Sacred Heart, if we want to call it a place that it resides, and then experience that light, eventually realizing that is actually who we are. And then we're really heart-centered. We're heart-centered as divine beings with seeing through, it's like divinity seeing through our eyes life. So we get to have the eyes of divinity, of the divine. And sometimes that can get us into trouble until we learn how to work with people again, like that. But it's worth the goal. We're talking about the difference between our temporary livelihood. In short, we can say that we come in alone, we come in naked, we don't bring anything but our qualities, into this lifetime, and we don't take anything with us. So the idea is to temper our goals in marketing and being entrepreneurs with the reality of what's eternal rather than what is temporary. And the other part I want to bring up is what you mentioned, Alicia, is many of us aspire to be influencers, inspire to impact. I mean, Los Angeles Tribune is one of the great factors in the world now of positively impacting the world. And so we do that individually in our communities, our families, etc., who we come into contact with. And we can do it nationally, we can do it globally. And the purer we are as an instrument of the divine energy, the divine power, then the better then the world will become. And that's been proven. There's different, I don't know what they're called, I forget, scientific testing that's been done on that kind of stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful, Jagadish. I have one last question here for you today, because you have worked with so many other amazing people and leaders. We talk about this inner heart alignment, who we are on the inside, the authenticity, the outside. What I'm really curious about here, because oftentimes people struggle with some of the outward expressions when it comes to money, to abundance, to profitability. What I'm curious about here is, what advice do you have for leaders who struggle to balance that profitability with staying aligned with who they are, with their core values and their personal integrity?
Yeah. Oh my God. A huge question, isn't it? It really comes to alignment with the highest virtues, integrity, and authenticity that you can bring to the table. And what was it? Someone said there should not be any millionaires in the world, or let's say billionaires for sure. In other words, we can have so much money just to create the lifestyle that we want, a humble yet affluent lifestyle. So what I'm just talking about is being sensible about our lives and understanding the context of our lives and who we are at our truest self nature, our truer nature, and then our true nature as human beings, is to balance those things and realize that improving the life of others in a genuine way, in goodness, then is the right path to do. And whether that brings you fame and fortune or doesn't matter at all. And there's, of course, many of the saints of all the traditions that exist, many of the great saints whose selflessness, which is an art in itself, which is a quality that one can cultivate, having, this great ancient knowledge and wisdom about how to cultivate what is selflessness and how to cultivate that. To be selfless enough that one gives their life to save someone else, or the selflessness of generosity that one may just make enough to live on and yet be a huge impact in people's lives, so that at the time we transition, the boost of gratitude and thankfulness for any given individual will actually boost them into higher levels of heaven. Just using words to talk about something. So I want to direct people to look at the importance of our eternality, of our life that keeps going on after we drop the physical body. And what I mean by that, I'll continue just a little, is that we want to put enough dedication and energy, and that can include our business. We dedicate our business and all the work that we do to experience and realize our truest divine nature, because that is the highest way we can serve the world. Each and every one that attains liberation, enlightenment, and in my tradition, it's liberation and divine love of God, liberation in something that is exalted and beyond even our individual truest self or truest nature, then can become co-committant with the work that we do as an entrepreneur and serving others to improve their lives. I don't know if that answers the question. I hope it did.
I mean, it answered questions. I think it sparked new questions. Jagadish, what a gift to be able to hear from you today. Liberation can create co-commitment with what people are trying to do with their business as entrepreneurs. You've said so much, but you just ended with that. And I think that's such a powerful statement, because what you're saying is that liberation can create space for more creation and in a different way. Jagadish, it's been so great to have you on with us today as part of this marketing summit, because some of the principles that you shared, some of the realizations that you touched upon just on the surface, I think is going to spark a lot of questions and reflections, and then ultimately actions, and so we appreciate you for joining us today as part of the Marketers Forum. You're also going to be in the Pillars of Power film. You're working on a new book that's going to launch next spring, but bringing really your healing, your transmission, your teachings further to the world. So thank you so much, Jagadish, for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Donna, we're about to bring our next guest, Deepika, on, who I
Yes.
think has really lived in her own liberation and figuring out who she is and who she wants to be, has really lived in that, and is co-creating in life every day. But we're about to bring on Deepika in a moment. But Donna, please share we've had the Pillars of Power cast, Sonia and Jagadish, and some deep conversations around consciousness. Would love to hear your remarks as we bring Deepika up to join us.
I am just in awe with it because it seems like we're not just awakening, but at the forefront of an entire movement of really looking inside ourselves for the answers that we need to grow, to expand, for the soul's evolution and growth, to really make an impact in the world rather than listening to all of that external noise. And I absolutely love that because the answers are always inside of you. You just have to know which ones to ask.
Yes. And Deepika Sandhu, our next guest that has joined us today, is an ex-executive in Silicon Valley. She wrote a book, in fact, a very, very good book, if I may say. Hello, Universe, It's Me, How I Scheduled a Breakdown and Manifested a New Life, and how you can too, all about that inner journey. And she's a best-selling author, also the founder and CEO of Soul Sparks Press, which is all about helping to individuals to find that spark within them and then take action through that. Deepika, I know we've spoken before. There's so much more I can share, but I also know that you were listening in to Jagadish right now. As you further introduce yourself and share a little bit about your journey, would love also to hear your reflections on what Jagadish was talking about, because you've been on your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the core, what he's getting at is we want to live this life in a way that is true and authentic and connected, not just with people around us, but truly, deeply, totally, and completely within us. And I think that is so important and so apropos for the conversation that we're having here today.
Yes, it truly is, Deepika. So, Jagadish was talking about realization and kind of going within and healing and clearing, and how that impacts kind of how we show up in this world. Deepika, you went through your own journey. You talk about it in your book, Hello, Universe, It's Me, but you're also a coach, and now you live out that co-creation, and pun fully intended here. That's the second time I said that today, but you inspire those sparks within people to do it as well, because they can too. Can you talk about what your journey was like and how that created space for you to walk through this world, and how that relates to how you actually market, serve, and connect with individuals that come across your path?
Absolutely, 100%. So here is my background. I was this person who did everything right. I was always checking all the boxes to live an amazing life. I did whatever my teachers, my parents, social media, Hollywood, Bollywood would say it takes to live a really good life. And I was just like, okay, if this is what it takes, I'm going to go there and do it. And I did. I went to great schools. I got a great education. I graduated. I got a great job. I got promoted at that job. I did everything in my life to do what I thought was going to create a great life. I dated like it was a professional sport. I found Mr. Right. He turns out to be Mr. Wrong, but I find Mr. Right. I get married. I have the kid. I have the house. I have the cars, the purses, the whatevers that I think you're supposed to accumulate to live a really great life. But I woke up at 40 feeling miserable, sad, depleted, exhausted, unloved. And it was in that moment that it just became so clear to me that I wasn't going to wake up at 50 feeling the same way that I felt at 40. That was not an option for me. So I went on this journey that I describe in Hello, Universe, It's Me, to schedule the breakdown, because I am a typical type A personality. I had no time to just, fly off to Italy or India or wherever Julia Roberts goes and Eat, Pray, Love to go find herself. I had to figure out how to do it right inside my everyday life. And I had to schedule that because I didn't have time to just do it on a random Tuesday. as I go through that journey, I mean, it's been incredible because I was able to take concepts like the ones we just heard from Jagadish, right? They sound so beautiful and big and wondrous. And I wanted to be able to do them. They were in all the books I read by Deepak Chopra and the Dalai Lama and everybody else. But I didn't know how to make it apply to my regular everyday life. Now I do, because I went on that journey to figure out what are the bits and pieces that I needed to do to change my world. And I did. And I think it goes really well to what we're talking about today on the Marketers Forum, which is you can hear things and they can be beautiful and powerful, and you'll hear them in movies and you'll read them in books and you'll like that Instagram post because you feel so fired up. But the thing is, how do you make it connect and resonate with you? And it's true with any information that we take in, right? We've got to figure out how it relates to what it is I need to do in my life. And that was my journey, and the journey that got me here today, part of the Los Angeles Tribune community, releasing books and now launching my own publishing company, just to do exactly this, to make those connections so people can see when they are faced with one of those soul sparking moments in their own life, that they don't just dismiss it and forget about it, but they actually are equipped to take the steps and take the actions to make that soul sparking moment meaningful and to realize the change that they may want to see in their lives.
Wow,
Mm.
that's so beautiful. Go ahead, Donna.
It is. And Deepika, I love the fact that you were a high-powered leader, a high-powered executive, Silicon Valley, where I'm from, but yet we look at and honor, I love the name of your company, Soul Sparks Press, by the way, I always have, but really going into the consciousness of everything. But what I'd like to ask you about is about the frequency of success. Because if it had a frequency, what steps could a marketer take to shift that mindset and that frequency to really attract their ideal clients or customers?
I love this. The frequency of success to me is the one that feels good to you. For so many years, I was absorbing the frequency of success that other people had defined as successful, right? I took whatever the outside world was telling me was successful and absorbing it in. But I got to tell you, there were many times in there that definition of success did not resonate. My frequency of success now is if it feels good, it actually is good, right? I want it to be something that deeply resonates. So for me, in attracting my authors to my company, we've got 34 authors writing with us right now. We're on track to release a book every single month of 2025. How did I do this? Did I do this through some magical formula that, now I can put into some kind of, program and sell to everybody and everybody can go take? No, what I did was put out a frequency of who I was. I wanted to create a company and a business that was completely aligned to me. And to do that, it had to actually feel really, really good. Many of us get really beautiful ideas for businesses we want to build, but we are very exhausted by the process of building them. And at the end of the day, we may be happy with the results, but the path that it took to get there is genuinely extremely exhausting and didn't feel as good. But I can tell you right now, there's always an option. There's the option to move in the frequency of success that does feel good to you. It may look different than what other people define as successful, but if it feels right to you, it is the kind of success that you want. So for me, creating the frequency of success involved attracting in authors that were lit up and inspired by the thought of their words quite literally changing the world, and for them to see what I was doing and know that they could create this for themselves. So the more that I moved into being me, the truest, most authentic version of me, the more I attracted in clients. We got our first 25, 27 clients without any Instagram post, any LinkedIn post, any advertising, nothing. It completely was word of mouth, because once people heard I was doing this, they wanted to be part of it. My frequency was quite literally attracting them, but what was attracting them was that I was operating in so much truth, and I was creating a dynamic and beautiful and wondrous way to create books and bring them to the world, and other people wanted to be able to tap into that as well. So I think the number one way to go grab your fabulous, heart-centered, aligned clients is to be you. You're never going to get that by following somebody's secret method or doing, the 10 steps that will get you this way, because what works for one person may not work for you. You've got to decide, does this feel right to me? Is this the way that I want to project out into the world? And I got to tell you, it's not just with your clients that you're hiring, it's in your whole life, right? We need that authenticity in our relationships. We need that authenticity in the way that we connect with others, in the way that we do the work that we do. It absolutely is a secret component for every interaction that we're having in our lives.
Yes, Deepika. Debbie joined in. She said, absolutely. That's the secret sauce. That's the formula. Deepika, I love that you took the conversation there, because I think it's important to underscore, there's people that are tuning in from all around the world. There are people that are sharing so many strategies and insights, and you're really reminding people that learn and absorb as much as you can about the tactics and strategy, but be yourself, walk in yourself. And we've heard that word authenticity earlier today. It can be a buzzword, but I love that you said it's your frequency that you're bringing out. It's what feels good to you, because when it feels good to you, it might be more aligned to who you really are. For you, what maybe was something that you had to think about or maybe grapple with as you were going through your journey of saying, the world says I should do this, or I should do that, or I should have this, but my spirit is calling me in another direction, and I want to be able to confidently walk in that space? You said, I was reading the books and, tapping likes on social media, but what have you been able to do to fully embrace who you are and really walk with the full magnetism of all that you are?
One of the things that is a lot of advice for those of us who run businesses online is to do launches. To launch, and there's like a launch formula, and this is how you launch, and you do this, and you have 25 posts about this and that, blah, 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 right? Or hit them in the DMs and ask them what their problems are, and like all these things. None of which for me ever felt particularly good, because just because I look at a calendar and think, okay, I'll launch this day, that day may come and I may not actually feel like doing it. And I've given myself the permission to be intuitively led in my business. And what that means is, and I said it earlier, I want to do things that make me feel good day in and day out. So for me, I honor that in everything that I do. So yes, I would like to perhaps bring this certain program or technique or whatever it may be to the world. And I think generally speaking, this might be a good day to do that. But I don't tie myself to that, because if I wake up that day and I'm not feeling it, or the energy doesn't feel right to me, I don't do it. Now, there's an old version of me who, the Silicon Valley business executive, working with all these different tech companies to help bring their innovation to the world, that could not have just been intuitively led on which day we should decide to comply with whatever it might be we need to comply with. That did not work. So my background and my experience is to be more rigid. Like, you have to do this, you have to do this by this date, and you've got to follow this. But now I think we're in a whole new world, right, of how things can operate. And we don't need to operate in these boxes that may have been created for us. So for me, I've given myself permission to be intuitively led, and I encourage you guys to explore that for yourself as well, because I will tell you, it has been very freeing. I don't feel like doing something in my business on a Monday. Guess what? I'll just wait till Tuesday. And it doesn't mean that I'm procrastinating or that I'm lazy or that I'm not being productive or all the other words that we give ourselves. It means that I feel like there might be a different option and I'm allowed to follow that option. So it is about erasing a lot of these patterns and programs that we have been brought up with, taught, consumed, believed, that may not be true anymore, right? We can actually carve out a whole different path and choose to operate our businesses in a different way. I certainly have, and I am enjoying the success of that for sure.
That's so great. Donna, I saw you smirking. I would love for you to kind of share what your reflections were just now.
It's those heart smirks. It's
Those heart smirks.
a new word I learned from Alicia recently, heart smirks there. I love everything that you're saying and the thoughts that are going through my mind, Deepika, because often with marketing, we have to stand out in a crowded space. And here we are saying, do your own thing. Here, you don't have to follow the formula. Here's the 5 steps for, but do it your own way. How do you stand out in a crowded market space?
Well, I am me and you are you. And we are meant to stand in our truest, most authentic selves, and it will resonate with the right people, right? I think a lot of time when we're following the formulas, following the advice, we can get a little lost in that process, right? And we won't stand out because we're actually trying to be more like other people. And I think when we give ourselves permission to be who we are and to stand out and to do these things, we are allowing ourselves to be seen. Being seen is so uncomfortable, I gotta say. I am fresh off of a full week in Mexico City promoting the Spanish version of Hello Universe, It's Me. And as fabulous and wonderful and amazing as that was, it was also exhausting. But to be seen is to serve. So if you want to be out there, if you want to be finding your most aligned clients, you've got to give yourself permission to be seen, doing that in a way, preferably, that feels really, really good to you. Because when we do that, we can actually move so much more into who we are. And when we're more of who we are, we're actually attracting more of the people we actually want to work with.
Beautiful.
So good. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, Deepika, you shared your story, right? You didn't share someone else's story. You shared your story in your book. It was translated into Spanish. You launched it in Spanish. It has been on the top selling charts for almost or over a month at this point, of you sharing your story, right? Then it's all about giving permission. As we move into closing remarks, what is something that you experienced as you were connecting with people while you were on your book tour in Mexico City that gave you like a heart smirk, something that just warmed you up inside about your book being in Spanish, being on radio, being on TV, talking about your book? What is one of those experiences that you got to feel because you have been walking in your true authenticity as a way to connect and serve and not just to market towards people?
Yeah, I did 15 interviews in Mexico City. I had 2 events there. And I would say every time I interacted with someone, they had tears in their eyes, whether they were the journalist, the interviewer, or the control room behind the scenes of a radio program. Everybody's eyes got big. Everybody had their own soul sparking moment. And I did not expect that. I did not know that would happen. But here's the thing, my story about my life continues to resonate with people. And I continue to share it with people just for this exact reason, to create those heart smirks, as you said, to create those soul sparks within them so they can see in my story their path and their own way. And I think whatever it is you might be selling or offering to the world, whatever those clients may be that you want to pull in, you know that you want to do it from a place where they're resonating so deeply with what you are saying. And that only happens by you understanding your story, your purpose, your vision, what you're here to do, what you're here to share with the world. And sometimes we have to learn some of the other techniques that don't work for us in order to bump into the things that do actually work for us. And I just want everybody out there to give themselves full permission to be able to do that. The magic of that I am experiencing right now, being inside of a dream come true these last few weeks, is incredible. And I want everyone out there to experience that. But it only happened right now in my life because I am truly in a space where I am connecting in this way with other people and it's resonating. And that's all from being you. Totally, completely courageously and confidently, all of you.
Wow.
Love it.
So beautiful. Courageously and confidently you. Be yourself and flourish. Deepika, your Latin America tour is going to continue. You're going to be in Colombia next year. You're also in the Pillars of Power movie, talking about that section of science and spirituality and leadership. You live it, you breathe it. We've gotten a glimpse of that in you today. And I know our community is going to have so many more opportunities to connect with you. We appreciate you for joining us today. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Deepika. I mean, these conversations today, Donna.
Well, yes. And I love the name, Soul Sparks, Heart Smirks. I'm thinking there's some books in here.
There we go. I think so too. Donna, I'm going to be staying on, but I'm really delighted for you to introduce our next guest. He does so much. Donna, over to you. As Jerry, get ready for us. We're going to bring you on stage in just one moment.
Yes, I'm so super excited to bring Jerry. He is part of the Pillars of Power movie that is going to be coming out. I recently met him, and when I did, he was in Hong Kong, and now he's in Arizona. I don't know where he goes next, but I know he's from London. So he has this international business with everything that he does. So let's just bring Jerry up. Welcome, Jerry, here to the stage. And if you could just share some fun things about you and Star Magic Healing.
Hey, Donna. Hey, Alicia. Well, first up, just thanks for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. So, yeah, I mean, fun things, fun facts. I mean, we travel the world and we get to see people change in the most phenomenal way. I mean, I'm in Sedona now. I was in Orlando at the weekend and we did a group healing. There was a lady there. She had no thyroid. She had it removed. And during the healing session, her thyroid physically manifested into place again and came back online. I mean, these kind of things are just wild, beautiful, alchemical, what some people would deem miracles. But when you understand the universe, the mathematics of the universe, when you understand frequency, you can create this change in people all the time. We have people that get up out of wheelchairs, people whose eyesight comes back, people who have brain tumors the size of tomatoes and they're told they'll be dead in 8 weeks and they're alive 8 years later with no brain tumor. These kind of things are happening 24/7, 365. And I am fascinated by every single time it happens. It's not like, oh, it's another day at the office. It's like, this is amazing. I cannot believe this is happening again. It puts a massive smile on your face. You radiate joy. It's fun. It's transformative. And seeing people step into their power and get their lives back when doctors are told them they'd be dead or they're just in a real the depths of despair, and now everything has come back online and they're firing on all cylinders again. For me, this is just the magic and the joy, and it's what brings that kind of divine spark, that kind of spark of pure potential in my soul and the souls of everybody else. It's why we do it. It's why we get up every single day. So for me, it's not work. It's just my mission, and Star Magic Healing is a frequency that we share with the world. And yeah, it's just fascinating and exciting and fun, everything rolled into one.
What I absolutely love, Jerry, is you have this international practice, and yet there's still a science behind the healing of energy, vibration, frequency. We all know Nikola Tesla's work, Albert Einstein, a bunch of the others that are great as well. And healing really falls underneath the category of energy. It's just a transmission or a transmutation of the energy. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created. It just changes form. But to apply that here to a marketing sense, what I'm really curious with you is when we think about the energy and transformation work, but yet on a marketing standpoint, how can people in marketing align their energy with their campaigns to achieve better results?
I don't think it's something you've even got to try and do. You can't try and do this. If you try and do it, you're already messing it up. Like, you are the transmission, you are the frequency. So for me, I just have to be me. And if I'm me and I am radiating that magic, that joy, that purity that I came to planet Earth to radiate, like every single one of us has skills, every single one of us has radically unique gifts that are different from everybody else's. And we all came here to shine in our own unique way. And you just have to show up and be authentic. And if you show up and be authentic, everything else will fall into place. But if you're trying to kind of put on some kind of persona or false identity, you're just building your castle on shoddy foundations. So the best way to kind of present yourself to the world is to show up fully, wholly, and authentically, and not give a flying you know what about what anyone else thinks. You know, you have to truly step into your power and just go for it, you know, in every which way possible. That is, it's simple. It's not rocket science.
That's so deep on a lot of levels, Jerry, because you're saying show up, and it's like push everything else you've learned away so you can just be, so you can go into that remembrance of you. Jerry, you're a healer. You travel around the world healing, and you capture these healings on videos. You can find them on YouTube, on your website, and you share those stories. For you, why is it important to kind of visually share the reactions and the experiences of what people can experience when they connect with you and when they go through their healings, to share that with others, you know, that are experiencing it in the world?
Yeah. It's a good question. Before I answer it, I just want to touch upon this. Like, you know, you said I'm a healer. Now, if you go to our website, like, yeah, I'm a healer and everyone knows me as a healer, but really I'm not a healer. Nobody can heal anybody else. And anyone that says they can heal anyone else is full of it. So I'm a facilitator. So what I do is I create an environment so the human being can self-heal. So like our bodies and brains are like biological computers. We're uploading and downloading information 24/7, 365. So what we do is we tap into the back end of someone's biological computer, which is full of energy, frequency, and code. Past lives, future lives, they're all just kind of present, that they're all parallel life experiences. Once you get into the field, there is no past and future. So we're able to tap into these traumatic experiences that a soul is having on a quantum level and change them. The reason it's so important to share it with the world is because social proof is everything. I remember when I first started doing this, I was like, man, I can't come out into the world and share this with people. Everyone's going to think I'm nuts. So what I did is I went to a Mind Body Spirit Festival. And I went with my daughter. This is back in 2013, 2014. I just written my first book, Into the Light. So I went along, I did a talk on my book, and I had these really rubbish kind of like marketing, real rubbish marketing material. It was terrible. It was horrible. And it just said energy healing on it. And I had this like little Excel spreadsheet. And I said to people, listen, put your name down, and I'm going to give away 3 free healings at the end of the weekend. So about 70 or 80 people put their name down. And on Monday morning, I phoned every single one of them and told them that they'd won, just so I could practice. So I had 70 to 80 people to practice. I worked on them for the next couple of weeks, got some amazing results. And I was really being pulled to kind of start Star Magic, but I didn't have the courage and the confidence to come out and do it without that social proof. So I phoned all of these people back up. I said, listen, I'm coming to your house this week to have a cup of tea. I'm bringing my video camera. I want you to tell me all about your experience and what happened. So I went round to everybody's house, got all of this kind of information, these testimonials, and then I felt confident to put it up, you know, start the business. And since then, we've always been like really proactive in getting testimonials. So if someone comes to us and says, Jerry, I've got kyphoscoliosis, which is an S-shaped spine and a corkscrew spine, I'll say, listen, have you got the medical records and the evidence of the scans of this? Because we're going to fix this, but I don't want to fix it until you've got the scan to prove that what we do works. So I'll say, go and get a scan, and then we'll do the work. So then we've got the before and the after. And that is priceless because it shows that what we're doing is actually working. And then you present that to the public, and it gives other people the confidence to kind of step into this arena. And also when people are on camera and they're sharing their experiences, other people that are watching this and looking at this are thinking, you know what? This human being's a little bit like me. They're not weird and strange and crazy. They're actually normal people. So maybe this would be beneficial to me too. And it encourages people to kind of step forwards into an environment and give energy healing a go when normally they would have sort of held back in the bleachers and they'd have never jumped onto the park and never given themselves the permission and the opportunity to have their healing facilitated. So social proof is everything.
I love that. And you're absolutely right that social proof is really everything, because I think it builds confidence, it builds integrity, it shows and demonstrates your gifts, talents, and abilities, and what you can really do to facilitate for others so that they can create a different environment for themselves. What I'm wondering here is, outside of just going back and getting that social proof for yourself, knowing that your method works, what was one of the biggest challenges you had in sharing that messages to grow your practice to an international level? Or was there even a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I've had loads of challenges. I remember when I first started doing this, loads of doctors got together and they created these websites, and they had like energy and lightning coming out of my hands, and they were calling me Harry Potter and all this sort of stuff. And then in 2017, I was arrested for healing people with cancer. I went through a 2-year court battle, and they tried to put me in prison. And I remember I was in New York at the Conscious Life Expo giving a talk, and I flew back to London. I was with my 2 children because I split up with my wife when Star Magic started. Our frequencies weren't in alignment anymore, and the children stayed with me. So I homeschooled the children. So they just traveled with me, sharing these healing trainings and meditation workshops, etc. So we flew back to London, and I went into court. My children were under 16 at the time, so they had to wait outside. And when I went into the courtroom, I had a massive bundle of testimonials that my clients had written to say, oh, Jerry's healed me from this and that and blah, 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 and bundles from cancer. And the judge turned around to me and said, Mr. Sergeant, there's nothing that I would love more than to lock you up and throw away the key. But my hands are tied because you've got 2 underage children outside, so I can't. So they fined me like $5,000 or $6,000 and then just sent me on my way. But I mean, even this year just gone, I was in America again. I flew back to England. I had to go to Scotland to do another workshop. And all of the newspapers had just decided to get together again and call me a quack and all this kind of stuff. And I was on the front page of newspapers and magazines. And I mean, they've tried to kind of like dismantle me and derail me. But every time these kind of things happen, I'm like, yes, I must be doing something right. So it inspires me to do even more and go even harder. And I just see this as just a beautiful experience that is ruffling a lot of people's feathers. And obviously Big Pharma, they want unhealthy people because unhealthy people make money. We're in the business of creating healthy people so that they can be free and understand how to heal their own bodies, because everyone is designed to self-heal. So there's been loads of challenges, loads of things, loads of curveballs that have come into my path on the way. But I just see them all as exciting. I don't go into fear about anything. I always just rise to the challenge and think, you know what? This is beautiful. This is just triggering more people. So let me raise my game even more and ruffle even more feathers and go even harder and spend even more money on advertising, help even more people, and just get myself out into the world even more and just go harder and deeper and help as many souls as possible step into their full superhuman potential.
Wow. Jerry, you started a bit ago talking about how you're facilitating, right? Creating space for people to do what they inherently can do within them. Deepika earlier was using that word permission. You're giving people that permission, that space to kind of facilitate healings within them. But you also, it's an integration, a balance of the inner and outer. You understand what you bring to the table to facilitate other people come, and you've found ways to share people's testimonies out there so people can see themselves in others. But then you also use the word advertising. So when you kind of think about what you're going to put into your advertising, right? What kind of content, what part of your story, and what parts of other people's stories, your clients that work with you, what parts of their stories you're going to put into that advertising. what do you think about, right? Because there's content from so many different perspectives, there's story from so many different perspectives. So how do you then think about, okay, if I have an advertising plan, what goes into this advertising? Curious here.
I mean, for me, it's so simple. It's about metamorphosis. It's transformation. So from my own personal perspective, I used to be a criminal. I smuggled drugs and guns, and I was involved in lots of high-profile bank fraud. My life was just completely different. Then I was involved in a car crash, and lots of other things happened, and it shifted my life, and I did a whole 180. So people can't turn around to me and say, oh, Jerry, I can't do this. Oh, Jerry, this is too difficult. I'm going to say, listen, I didn't used to believe in God, the universe, consciousness, spiritual intelligence. I used to think if it was for crazy people. If you'd have tried to speak to me about this 20 years ago, I'd have been like, where's the person with the straitjacket coming to lock you up? But now it's my life, and it's all I share with people. So that kind of transformation, that metamorphosis that I've gone through is absolutely imperative to helping other people stand that it's possible to be able to do this. And then when it comes to my clients, then I want to share their metamorphosis and their transformation. So if someone has got diverticulitis and now it's gone, if someone has a brain tumor, now it's gone, if someone has heart disease and now it's gone, then I want to share their transformation from where they were to where they are now, because that is all that matters, you know, to show people that you can change, to show people that you can grow, evolve, transform, and it encourages everybody else to do the same. And so it's that metamorphosis, it's that caterpillar going into the butterfly, sitting in the darkness, in the mush, locked inside that little cocoon for a while, not knowing when it's going to come out, but trusting the process that it will come out the other side at some point. It doesn't know when it's going to happen, but it just knows that it will happen. And then it just trusts in the journey. And so what I want to do is to encourage people to step into that journey, knowing that something will happen and they will shift and change. How long it's going to take, nobody really knows. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 10 hours, it could be 10 days, but they are going to shift and their whole world is going to change. So have the courage and the confidence to step forwards onto that journey, knowing that you've seen other people do it, you've seen me do it, and there's proof in the pudding. You know, again, it's coming back to that social proof.
Absolutely right there about the social proof again. And in the time that we are in, you're talking about transforming, you're talking about evolving. I want to take a look at today and then moving into the future for future trends, because the marketing landscape is rapidly always evolving. What role do you see intuition and spiritual principles playing in shaping the future of marketing and business?
Okay, so this is a really good question. If I'm going to facilitate the healing of another human being, I'm never going to directly work on their physical body, because their physical body is the tip of the iceberg. The physical body is a communication device. It's like every single part of the human anatomy means something. So if someone's got something wrong with their liver, I know they've got anger and guilt problems. If there's something wrong with their neck, I know that they're rigid and they're stubborn. If there's something wrong with their right eye, I know that there's problems on the ancestral great-grandfather line. So the whole body means something. But for me to be able to facilitate the healing of that physical body, I have to go into the quantum field and connect with the code, the frequency, the underlying soul experiences where the trauma lies to create that change. Now, if I want to advertise my healing business, if I want to put myself out into the marketplace, I'm not going to do that until I've done it in the quantum first. So I'm going to go into the quantum field and I'm going to set up all of my electromagnetic grids. I'm going to connect people around the planet to what we call the Star Magic grid. Like, we've got all these grids that we set up. So every month, the whole of the Star Magic team meets online. We go into a meditation and we run the frequency through the grids. And then we go out into the world and we physically spend money on marketing, but not until we've ran the frequency through the grids first. So we'll set up these grids, we'll run the frequency quantumly, and then we go out into the world and we market. Now, this is how powerful this is. So we did an experiment. You know, like you have like certain key phrases and key words that you can use to market a particular product, a particular service, a website, whatever it is. We picked some key words that nobody is Googling. that nobody is searching for. So what we did is we put those keywords into the quantum field, and we envisaged and set it all up energetically so that people started searching them. And then within 2 weeks, we went onto Google and people had started searching them because we'd already orchestrated it in the quantum. I remember before I started Star Magic, we were living in New Zealand when I was kind of discovering all this stuff. And we had a mixed martial arts gym, a health and fitness center. I used to sit in the reception every Saturday and Sunday. I'd open my heart and I'd send frequency into the houses of everyone in the local town. That Monday, the next day, we'd have 20 or 30 new people join the gym. So, you know, everything can be done quantumly, energetically, and it works extremely powerfully. When you combine that with paid advertising and actually going out and doing the work, you know, on a physical level, we're actually doing the ads and designing the artwork and doing all of that stuff. It's 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold. Like it's priceless. You can't beat it. So doing the quantum work and stacking it on top of the physical work is where it's at.
That's fascinating. Debbie said it in the comments. I'm going to say it again here. Jerry, so great having you on today. What is something that we haven't spoken about yet that you'd like to share about how people can connect, can serve their communities? I love, we're not going to say sell to, serve their communities as they think through how to be authentic and who they are in their own story, and how to align those around them that, you know, are aligned to their message, to their service, to their product, to connect with them as part of your closing remarks. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Yeah, that's cool. I think everybody, that's wrong to say everybody. A lot of people in this world, they try and fit in. You know, when we're born, we grow up with our parents and people around us that are close. And what we try and do as children is be like the people around us, because we think they're going to love us more. And what it does, it sets up a dysfunctional behavioral pattern. So children grow up in the world trying to be like their parents or school teachers or the famous movie stars on TV or whatever it is. And what it does, it sets up a huge disparity gap between who they are authentically and who they're trying to be in the world. They're trying to fit into this mold. So what I would say to everybody is be brave and take the one journey that most people don't take. Most people are focused on this external world. Take the journey of the heart. Go into your heart, because this is where the magic happens. Your heart is like a stargate, and you can go into your heart and travel out into the whole universe and beyond. So dive into your heart, go deep into meditation, do your breath work, and really discover who you are internally. How do you vibrate internally? What is your mission here on planet Earth? You're never going to discover that by going out into the world and trying to discover it. You've got to go into your heart. You've got to go into your cells. You've got to go into those inner workings and really, really know thyself. And then when you know who you are, you stop believing. And I think for me, I try and encourage everybody to stop believing in themselves, because what happens is when you believe in yourself, you believe on these kind of concepts and these thought programs. Because if you look at any thought and you trace it back to its origin, it comes to another thought. And that thought goes to another thought. But ultimately, if you trace all thoughts back to their origin, they come back to time, distance, or measurement. And time, distance, and measurement in the field do not exist. Therefore, all belief systems are illusory. But when we go deep into our heart, we know ourselves. And when we know ourselves, it trumps believing every single time. And when we know ourselves, we radiate this incredible frequency. Our heart opens up, and our heart is also a life compass. So it starts to lead us and navigate us in the direction of our dreams. And all we've got to do then is kind of kick back and trust the process. And our heart will take us here, it will take us there. It's not always a comfortable process, because sometimes it takes us into uncomfortable territory so we can learn lessons, so we can grow, so we can upskill, because we're going to need those skills further on down the timeline. So the best thing that we can do as humans is take that brave deep dive into our heart and keep journeying until we uncover that alchemy, that magic, that truth, that wisdom, and then let that propel us and catapult us forwards.
Wow. That heart-centered revelation and recognition. Thank you so much, Jerry, for joining us today and sharing more of your story. What Jagadish covered, Sonia, Deepika, and Jerry, your share. There is that thread of going within, of understanding, of connecting. We appreciate you. We're gonna get ready to bring our next guest up in a moment. But Donna, you've been on this afternoon. We're also going to hear from you as a guest as well, not a co-host today, but would love for you to kind of just reflect on some of these conscious-based, energetic, and heart-centered conversations that we've been having today about self, but also about what that means as someone that is marketing in the world, what that means as someone that is serving, not selling in the world. Would love to hear from you, Donna.
Yes, what I absolutely love is, yes, that common thread with all of the different people that we've heard throughout this afternoon. And the one thing they have in common is that they're all in the pillars of power. What is the hidden secret behind achieving greatness? So if you listened to their talks, you'll pick up on some of those little nuggets that they are sharing, because it's all about that inner work. And I really do think about the time that we're moving into this next arena. We are really, if you're really heart-centered, if you really have gone in, if you've done the work, things are just magically happening, magically aligning, and coming into fruition just with your thoughts, because there's that energy behind it, that quantum behind it. The age is now, if you study astrology or any of those things, the age of Aquarius. A lot of people have talked about that moving forward. And I think our marketing is going that way too. Our branding is going that way, that level of authenticity. When they talk about authenticity being a higher vibration and frequency than love, and all of those pieces. So everything is just in this alignment process to do good out in the world.
It's so wonderful, Donna. I do think you can feel it. You can feel that it's shifting, because that common thread, we're here at the Marketers Forum. There are so many strategies, marketing plans that you can do. There's so much technology and AI that can help you frame your marketing plan, so to speak. But the conversations that we've been having throughout this whole day is that, yes, it's important to have the plan. It's a yes and. But it's also to understand who we are, what is our authentic voice, what are our clients, our customers trying to understand. Are we hearing them? Are we talking with them or at them? These are all kind of key principles that you can feel are becoming more and more a part of everyday conversation, because as the world is evolving, business is evolving, how we connect with each other evolves as well.
It truly does. It really, truly does. And I love this one comment here that is and it says, generating soul and heart from the last speakers. And so that was really a good common thread between all of them, because they just poured out.
Yes, they really did. For those of you that are tuning in, we'd love for you to join us in the comments, share your insights from what you've gleaned from today, what questions you're going to walk away with, and where you're tuning in from. We are here to connect with you, to pour into you, and we'd love to hear from you. We are about to go on a quick commercial break, and after that, you're going to hear from our hosts that started off the day that are coming back to join us. So we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
For those of you that are tuning in, we are at the Marketers Forum where you're hearing from entrepreneurs, authors, podcasters, business owners, executive, spiritual healing facilitators. I love that word that Jerry shared earlier, and who are having conversations around marketing, connection, community building. We have some of our co-hosts that helped open this morning that have joined us back here today to share their insights and reflections on the day. So we're going to bring Parisa. Ava has joined us today. Karen is here. I know that you all have been hosting with us today, have been tuning in, have been in the comments. Ava, I'm going to go over to you. Would love to hear about your experiences and some of the questions that have come to mind as you've been engaging in the Marketers Forum today, day one of a 5-day Marketers Forum. So people have so much in tune for them.
Absolutely. Day one is phenomenal. I begin to wonder whether it's the season, the time that we're in, where people are really looking for authenticity. We almost have authenticity antennas, like we're anti-sales and we're looking for like authentic passion and conviction and real belief. And the day one was almost all about that, right? Like everybody was just like really speaking about their passion, their conviction, tuning into heart, being aligned with soul. And I love that that's what we communicate, because if we look at the definition of marketing is the art and the science of creating value. It's the art and science of creating value. And I actually was saying that it would be a disservice for us at the Los Angeles Tribune to not say what we do. We're going to have a segment when we say what we do at the Los Angeles Tribune. And now we have all of our co-hosts. So I also wanted to invite everybody to say, what value do you create? Because we get to demonstrate, to our audience that, when you know that you deliver either an idea, a product, a service that's of value, you are responsible to making sure that that gets known by people. And that's called marketing. That's in itself is called marketing. And I love how Guy Kawasaki runs with the evangelist, right? The chief evangelist of Canva, the chief evangelist of Apple, because that's exactly what we do. When you're convicted with the value that you bring, the value that you serve people with, then you become the evangelist of what it is that you bring value in this world. And so I to me, that's marketing. Let's be loud and proud, talk about the value, that we bring to this world. Thanks, Alicia.
That's so wonderful. Appreciate your share, Ava, because it's the value. It's not selling, it's serving. What is the value that you're bringing to other people? Parisa, you've been on today. You are hosting. I'm telling you, I'm sharing with the world. I'll be waiting. I love your notes and your end of day recaps that you share with insights from all of the wonderful speakers that have come today to really pour and share from their heart. Parisa, would love for you to share some of the nuggets, some of the gems that you wrote down, but also what those gems kind of inspired you to maybe think about in a different way, or just say, all right, I'll go back to that, or say, oh, I've been doing that. Other people do it too. I'd love to learn and hear more from you today, Parisa.
Thanks, Alicia. Today has been really special because I feel like for the first time in a little bit of time, I've been taken aback at the level of intentionality, the focus of value delivered, value offered, and the true intention behind the message that has been so consistent across every single person. And everyone has such a different background. Everyone has varying levels of experience. Everyone is in their own niche. Everyone does their own thing. They have their own specialty and their expertise. Yet there's this very common thread. And this common thread, I feel like, is not one that we've been on this trajectory for very long. I feel like marketing and a lot of business strategy is very plug and play. It has been very plug and play, very logistical. There's formulas to things. You just follow the formulas, you figure it out, boom, done. No. We're in a different era now. It was so evident today through every single speaker. This message is consistent. The ways that has been is gone. It's done. It served its purpose. It served society. It served commerce, business, companies. It served its purpose. It's fulfilled its time. It is different now, though. We're in a different era where intentionality doesn't just matter. It is essential. Really thinking about the value you want to deliver, that you want to show up as, is absolutely necessary. So a few nuggets that I want to touch on. To start off, pretty much reiterating the same piece. Crystal this morning with the trainers panel said, what value do I want to bring to the person? What value do I want to bring? Being intentional, thinking about the person, really focusing on what they're needing, what they're wanting, what would truly meet them where they're at. And Lauren, when she said, lean into the fear, because we can't just show up and be these things and ignore our humanness. We cannot. We still are human. We still have our own limitations, our own fears, our own insecurities. We get to approach and confront ourselves in this process if we are truly wanting to meet the person with value. Deepak said, the person you are trying to emulate is not you. It serves no purpose for you to try to emulate someone else because they're not you. Such a simple statement, but so confronting and so amazing at the same time. I was like, yes, this one is so gold. Like the person you're trying to emulate is not you. Next one, Peter Swain said that everyone is a great marketer. We've just forgotten how. That really does speak to the fear that Lauren shared. That speaks to what Crystal had shared. That everyone's a great marketer. We can all show up in that way. We can all get what we can bring, we can offer, we can help serve, we can build upon, we can create longevity and foundation and success. We just need to peel back the layers and really discover and get clear on what that actually looks like for ourselves. Another one from Peter is that most of your time should be spent on thinking about your client. Strategy before tactics, which is what I touched on initially in the beginning about how the paradigm of the old is done. It is complete. It's not out, it's just complete. And Aaron with specificity being everything. Know what you're good at. Get clear on it. Let yourself dive into it. Be able to articulate it. Top to bottom, high to low. Get clear. Be so specific. And most people suffer from specificity. They don't have that. And to get to that really crystal clear place, to really understand that specificity of what you bring, what you offer, who you are, that does take leaning into fear. That does take confronting. That does take you not emulating someone else or someone else's message or someone else's marketing. I love how each one of these speakers really just connected so seamlessly together. You know, when you take notes on each speaker, it's like they're all creating the fullness of this story. Each person's bringing a different part of the story to the table. And it is so cool each day being able to do these recaps and to conclude at the very end with the last several speakers, it all being about heart. The heart has such intelligence, it has such wisdom, it has such impact. If we allow ourselves to really bring that piece forward, let that be what leads, that will guide the entire thing on the most clear and direct path possible. And that's the best marketing itself, is it not? So that's my recap for today.
Beautiful. Well, Parisa, you know how we say we always look for the ways we do value. And the one thing that you really, really, really deliver great value at is keeping your notes. And I know you've said before that you're willing to share your notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put this on I'm going to put this on the ticker right now. Register at themarketersforum.com to receive a copy of Parisa's notes.
You guys will all get my notes. You have my word.
If you want to hear more,
we're seeing it on the chat already. Like we'd love to have Parisa's notes. So register at themarketersforum.com if you haven't yet, and you will receive Parisa's notes because that's the only way we'll get it to you, short of putting it on social media. So go ahead and register. So with
Jeff
that,
is saying,
I'm gonna give it back to you
please.
because you're the one who calls everybody. Take it loose.
Jeff is saying, Debbie is saying, please notes, please. Jeffrey Ross is saying, I'd love a copy. I think, Parisa, you do such a good job of distilling the essence of someone's message, right? Capturing the quotes that really hit home and land and kind of summarize what their message was all about. Karen, you were on hosting the trainers earlier, Alina earlier. I loved your questions. Would love to hear more about what your experience has been on day one of the Marketers Forum here today, Karen.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I mean, from Dr. Lisa Tan reminding us that we were like the marketing bunch, the trainer bunch, with our 9 little squares. And the bidets that were shooting off the water, to music. We just had so much fun. I really liked it when Julie Ann talked about changing our relationship with fear. Oh my goodness. We had several different people that talked about overcoming fears with marketing, with speaking in public, with starting a podcast. And when Julie Ann talked about changing our relationship with fear and how she had fears and yet she looked at fear differently. And if she didn't have, if it wasn't scary enough, then it wasn't a big enough dream. And I really appreciated that. And I really liked it when Lauren talked about marketing as showing up for business. Are we getting ourselves out there? Are we telling the world that we are ready to show up for business? And when we don't, I think it was or maybe it was Crystal that said what you said, Ava, that we're doing a disservice. And I brought in how marketing really is love. It's love for our client. It's love for ourselves. And I thought those were really, really great points. And then we had Stacy Chillemi, and she talked about the power of storytelling and being in the media herself and working for Dateline and being a producer, and then also having her own podcast and being a 20 times best-selling author. I mean, she has the inside scoop on what people are looking for and how they're looking for that authenticity. We talked in many sessions about authenticity and about really connecting. And I thought that she brought up some really great points. And then one of the things that I really liked about Peter Swain was when he said, we're always marketing, and marketing really is forming relationships. And he said, instinctively, we cheer for our kids when they're learning to walk, but do we teach them to walk? No, really, we don't. They just try. And every time they make a bit of effort in the right direction, if they just get up, we're like, yay, everybody's cheering. And he said, well, why don't we do that for ourselves, when we're doing things? And I thought, amen, instead of being like, oh, we did it wrong. Well, I got back up again. And that's the key, is that resilience. I really liked it when Aaron talked about, talk to everybody, show up for every party and build every relationship, and how he just makes friends everywhere he goes. And that's why he has so many friends that wrote the foreword, in his book, Unshackled. And Aaron is a great friend, and everybody loves that. And then Eleni talked about, so many things about as an actress and as a singer-songwriter, and then about bringing that charismatic presence to the stage. And so many of us, when we're trying to speak, we feel fear. She had to overcome fears. And yet when we put ourselves out there and we face those fears and we take courage, then just like you said, we are blessing the people that are listening. And we have so much. We have a message within us. Most of us feel passionate about this message as an author, a speaker, a podcaster, an entrepreneur. We want to share these messages. And I just think it's so amazing how the Tribune offers so many platforms where we can share those messages. And I want to give another plug out for the Los Angeles Tribune Women's Journal and our newly formed Los Angeles Tribune Speakers Journal, where we can share those stories, where we can get those stories out there and get that visibility and let the world know who we are so that we can show love to the world.
There's so much that you shared, Karen, as you talked about Eleni and Stacy, and authenticity and that fear that people can really have of getting their stories out there. But what's been beautiful to see is actually what happens when people can connect and share their stories. We've heard so many different dynamic stories from the individuals that have joined us today. There are so many messages within, and Karen, like you said, there are so many ways that through the Los Angeles Tribune, the visionary leadership of our CEO, Mo Rock, and the entire Los Angeles Tribune team, there are so many ways for people to get out their message, to get out their story, to connect with the world. Like you mentioned, Karen, there's the women's journals, there's the speakers journals, there's the Spanish journals. There's the editorial news. We have our Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller experience where authors are recognized for sharing their stories with the world that are culturally relevant, that have an impact on their readers. We connect with people at events that are touching people at the heart. I know you all were just, Karen and Parisa, you were just at the International Impact Book Awards. There's the publishing division, and then there's meeting people through the story of film, right? Connecting with people through film. With Donna Campbell, you're the director of the film division. There's the podcast network. There's so many ways that people can connect and share their stories, but all of it is hearted in the heart. All of it is rooted in really our mission and our vision which is to elevate consciousness around the world, which is to have really conversations with depth around marketing, but how marketing is tied to spirituality. Debbie said, marketing is love. There are so many mediums where people can connect, but there's also so many opportunities to really kind of unpack what we've learned as people, as a society, and to really go into the different levels and layers of how we can actually contribute more positively to this world. So I love what we're doing here at the Los Angeles Tribune. Rex has joined us and he's going to come on in a moment to share. But before Rex does, I'd love to shift to hear from you, Donna, around these conversations that we're having around consciousness as it relates to marketing. Donna, you are also the author of the Abundant Soul book, which is using storytelling, but also inviting us to look at our relationship with abundance in a different way. You are a writer, a speaker, facilitator of healing, but you also are the leader of our film division, really integrating all of those experiences into the mission and the vision of the film division. So I'd love to hear more from you, Donna, about today on the Marketers Forum, but also about what it is that we're doing here at the LA Tribune with the film division.
One of the things I'd love to share is that as a writer, as an author, you have your story and you have your story to share, to give a mission, to give a vision. And part of that for me is really creating the world a better place. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by elevating everybody up in vibration, but I know I can't do it alone and that others have to come along with me, or maybe I go along with them to really create and elevate, because there's over 8 billion people on this planet. We're all going to touch people differently. And that's what I really, truly love. One of my premises is that I believe that there is abundance for everybody. And so with the Abundant Soul, it integrates the different healing principles around money, around marketing, around some branding, some influence, how money is emotional, and how to really work on the inside to get the outside result, which is a theme that we've heard throughout all of today, part of the consciousness. But really what I think a book does, and what I love about the Los Angeles Tribune and the publishing division, is that the book establishes you not only as an expert, but starts positioning you authentically, but with trust and credibility. And when you have that trust and you have that credibility, you can really make great strides and change the world, give the voice to the voiceless, putting out positive news media, all of the different pieces that go into this new era of marketing that we are really stepping into. And what I absolutely love, I know today was only day one, you guys. We have 4 more days of this. And I know we have amazing experts coming on who are trust and credibility experts in so many different arenas. I know we have Dr. Joe Vitale coming up. We have Dan Kennedy coming, Joseph McClendon III, Brian Tracy. They all started. And you know what? It all started with a book. So there we go. We have 4 more days of this, and I'm excited to hear from the experts.
It's 4 more days. We are just getting started. As Donna shared, there are so many people that have had these conversations of conscious marketing, of magnetic marketing. Dr. Joe Vitale, Dan Kennedy, the legendary Dan Kennedy is joining us. Motoko is going to be joining us from Japan. You know, she is part of a media organization in Japan that is on a similar mission as the Los Angeles Tribune to really connect with community, to share stories that are inspiring and to really positively impact the world. Rex Sykes, it's so great to have you on with us. I know that you've been tuning in, you've been commenting all throughout the day. Rex, we're only on day 1 out of our 5-day Marketers Forum, but would love to hear from you some of your reflections on what you have been thinking about as we've gone through the Marketers Forum today.
Well, I think first off, you all deserve a big round of applause. Those here on the platform, those who aren't here at the moment, what a beautiful first day of the Marketing Forum, and the caliber and the guests, or the caliber of the guests and the quality of the information has been wonderful. And a lot of takeaways for people. I hope they will not only watch the next 4 days, but they'll go back and watch each of the days again and again and again to extract the most from it. You know, it's fascinating. I had to do my show today too, and that oddly enough was on marketing. It just worked out that way, but it was on marketing, and we were talking, and you know, it's what's beautiful about what I was able to see here today and elsewhere is this connection with spirit and consciousness and prosperity and abundance and giving for all. You know, the oldest profession on the planet isn't what you think it is. It's actually something beyond that. It's the sale. In other words, even for the oldest profession to have worked, somebody had to first market it. Somebody had to first say, "Hey, guess what I have for you?" And the point being is that we go way back in time to the very beginning of time, and marketing was simply saying, you know, there's this person down the street, and they have this pot, or they have this wheel, or they have this spear, or they have something that you need. And by word of mouth, people started to go to that place down the street to get the spear or the pot or the wheel or whatever it was. When it comes to marketing and sales, those of you who are watching, you know, the best thing you can do right now is to share, to spread, to put it forward. When you go out to a restaurant and you have a wonderful meal, you go back and you tell everybody, you go, "Oh my God, you know, I had this incredible meal. You have to go. You have to go." Or you see an incredible movie, or you read a wonderful book. You go, "Oh my God, you have to read this. You have to see this." That enthusiasm is what marketing is all about. It's capturing the enthusiasm for yourself, spreading it to other people so they too can capture that and then spread it to someone else. That's how sales are made. That's how connections are made. That's how relationships are developed. That's how the world goes round. And the Los Angeles Tribune and the people you see on the platform, and even those you don't see, but you will see again and again and again during the next 4 or 5 days, are important to that process. And know this most of all, you know, it's all spiritual. It's all consciousness. It's all about awareness. It's all about the kind of love and goodness and generosity that we feel. You know, some people say it's troubled times. Yeah, okay. Depends on how you look at it, right? You know, it's night at some part of the world right now, and it's day somewhere else. A bird requires 2 wings to fly. Take the very best of what you have and share it for other people so that they can get excited about it and share it with other people. And then as we do that, as a friend of mine used to say, you can light 1,000,000 candles off of just one, but your candle has to be lit first. So the first day of this forum, this summit, was a candle lighting day for all of us. And what a candle lighting day it was. So now take that lit candle and help somebody else light a candle. And in doing so, you'll be doing someone a good turn. And I'm so glad to be part of this. And I'm so glad that the message is going out that there's positivity, optimism, inspiration, edifying, uplifting, and all sorts of transformation here at the summit, here at the Los Angeles Tribune, and here with the people that you see right now, the ones you can't see right now, and the ones who are coming. So with that, I just say, wow, great time.
Wow. I say wow to you back, Rex. To light other candles, you have to light yours. Marketing is enthusiasm. Marketing is love. Marketing is conscious. So many powerful experiences I think we've all had today on the Marketers Forum. Michael Silvers wasn't on today, but our hearts are with him. We're praying for everyone in the state of Washington that was impacted, that has not had power. Michael Silvers, the VP of the Los Angeles Tribune, will be joining us back here tomorrow on day 2 as we kick off and continue these conversations around marketing, but from a different way, an elevated way, a dynamic way. There are so many more insights and gems for us here. If you're tuning in right now, we encourage you to share the Marketers Forum with those that in your community, share your reflections back with us. We love the comments. We, on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team, our CEO, Mo Rock, it's been so great being with you today. We will see you soon on day 2 of the Marketers Forum. If you're just tuning in, tomorrow you'll hear from Dr. Joe Vitale. You will hear from the legend Dan Kennedy, Joseph McClendon, Dr. Emily Letran, Steve Smith, who is with Sirius XM Radio, and so many more guests will be tuning in to share their insights and their stories and their perspectives with you all. Until next time, we appreciate you for being part of the Los Angeles Tribune community, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.